Welcome back to the Borgata Poker Open in Atlantic City, New Jersey. You have a view there because we're up in the 32nd floor of the BetMGM Tower in the overlook. What a view the players see, you're going to see all day long as well. What a fantastic spot to be. I'm here with Ashley Frank, Poker Face Ash. How are you doing, Ashley?
Doing well. This view and poker? Come on now.
What a fantastic spot. 30-second view. We're not tucked away in some dark poker room. We're here
Absolutely not.
overlooking the entire city and the water. Very cool place to play cards, and we've got a special day of it for you. We're coming back with just 2 tables left in the Open Championship. We're going to stream one of them. This is day 3 of the $3,500 Open Championship. 16 players remain. Feature table streaming from here all the way down to a winner. But that's going to be tomorrow when we come back with the final table.
Yeah, pretty crazy. 400K plus up top for first. This is going to be a fun one, and we have some absolute crushers left in this field. It's going to be very fun to see how they navigate and who comes out to the final table tonight.
As expected with a Borgata Open Championship, and especially the main event here, deep structure. We still have nearly 50 big blind average in play at the 20K, 40K big blind level. Averages just under 2 million. So we're looking for some deep play, some post-flop play from these crushers. A lot to learn, a lot to entertain us in a beautiful setting.
Yeah, every tournament poker player's dream, being this deep stack, average stack, about 50 big blinds. Just absolutely amazing playability here for these players, and hour and a half levels, so the absolute dream.
Going to get into the action here on the flop with Demo against Samuel. When we're coming in with 16 left, we're of course well into the money. Saw that prize pool breakdown at the start, but in case you missed it, 16th place, which is our current bust out, is $18,413. 15th through 12th is going to get 22K, so we're looking at just under a 4K pay jump, but the real money is up top, like you said, Ashley, $408,000 for the winner.
Wow, yeah, on a 4K pay jump right now, like you said. These players are just looking to chip up and stay alive.
Here's the players we're going to be following on this featured table. A few notable names you might recognize. Ryan Dodd, very successful poker player, 34 big blinds. King Cullis in the patented leather jacket, one of the short stacks at the table in seed 3 with 15 big blinds. Luis Ortiz, he made it heads up in the heads up championship here on stream less than a week ago to second place. He's looking to best that today.
Wow, impressive.
My bad.
By the numbers, this event saw it was a $1.5 million guarantee, but we crushed it. Prize pool $2,340,500. That was built by 755 entrants who took place. We paid 95 people. We're all the way down to 16 left.
Yeah.
It's not the only event running up here, though. Borgata offered a $10,000 high roller experience, and there's a couple of tables in action there just downstairs, just off to the side, and registration is still open for that event. So if you're listening to this from inside the halls of Borgata or anywhere near Atlantic City, you can register for that $10,000 high roller event, which includes a free stay here at the Borgata, includes a massage package, includes some food and drinks, and of course entry into the event, and you'll play right up here with that beautiful view we're looking at. Streaming schedule today is day 3, of course. We're going to stream today likely until we reach a final table, that up to production if that's different, but final table will be at 8 people as the plan, and then we'll come back tomorrow, stream down from the final table all the way to a winner. So you're with us until the end. That'll be played out between today and tomorrow.
Yeah, so it looks like Kane is our short stack here at this featured table, and so he has about 15 big blinds. So with that 4K pay jump, I'm sure the players are well aware that he is one of the shorties, and he's probably going to try and find the best spots to get some chips here as a short stack.
15 bigs, of course, sounds like such little, but when you're looking at a structure like this with an hour-and-a-half levels, with deep stack play, deep average, and pay jumps, 15 bigs is actually has quite a bit of playability, and you can take your time and pick your spots a little better than like a turbo tournament.
Exactly.
Right?
It's not like you get 1 or 2 orbits and then the blinds go up and your stack decreases and you go through the blinds. So here he does have some time to navigate and find some good spots, and might not even have to be all in to get that done. So he's obviously a really good player, and he'll look to find ways to gain some chips here. We have players heads up 3-bet pot. Joe 3-betting the pocket nines against Samuel's button open. So far, pretty standard.
Not an ideal flop for pocket nines, out of position, seeing 3 overcards yet. We do have the betting lead, and a lot of times when we 3-bet, we're going to have a lot of this range, right?
Right, and some merit in having 2 nines here on this board. You do block a hand like Queen 9. However, yeah, not a great board for the nines here.
Ace is an interesting card, another card that likely hits the 3-better quite often, but not in this case.
Both players still can have a decent amount of Queen X, obviously, and Samuel, if he starts betting here, which he decides to check back, get it through, but yeah, this board just, unless Samuel puts in a bet here, Joe will be really happy to get the showdown.
After check on the flop and turn, any bet from either player kind of looks suspicious, and things can get a little funky when that happens, but in this case, Samuel immediately starts looking like he has no interest in fighting for this one.
Yeah, I think a lot of Joe's hands that have a queen in them, 3-betting from the small blind's going to start betting either the flop or the turn. So anyway, he gets the job done there, and with the 3-bet the nines.
Not sure. The goal of a bet, right, is either you get called by a worse hand or you get a better hand to fold there. That felt like a spot where we're unsure what to do, so let's bet and make our life a little easier.
Yeah, exactly. Yeah. Sometimes it's like that.
There's our chip counts as well as position at the table around the corner from seat 1 through 9. Our table chip leader is in seat 7. That's Jason Min. Even though there's 9 seats listed there, we are playing 8-handed. Notice nobody in seat 6.
Why?
Dimo Kyriopoulos there in seat 2. Apparently very fun to watch, action player. So the rumor goes we'll be on the lookout for that. Some Luis fans in the chat. You see him here with King 9 suited. And this is a spot where a lot of people will just, you got a pocket pair, you have to play it. But from early position off 15 bigs.
Yeah, and I've talked about this so much. It's not a hand that you can raise, call, and all in with. A hand is, pocket 3s there, and you don't want to raise and waste precious big blinds. You don't want to limp, so really it's just a hand you have to fold there. But a lot of players I've seen leak so many chips by raising those really small pocket pairs in under the gun position, and it's just a hand you have to fold.
On the other hand, a suited connector as the chip leader from later position is a very different story, and Jason gets into the mix for the first time, opening up the 7-6 suited.
Yeah, and also to note, you're playing at a table where you're going to face a lot of 3-bets, 4-bets. It's not just, a softer field where you can just raise and hope to get heads up against the big blind or just take it down. You're going to get action at these tables. Players are going to find hands to play, pick spots, and so you really, sometimes have to narrow your range that much more because of the table dynamics.
Especially with the difference in busting now for 18,000 and first place for 408,000.
Exactly.
That has to weigh on the mind with every decision you make.
Of course.
Again, the backdrop, what a cool spot. The first time we've been up here at the top of the MGM Tower, which is a second tower across the way, a hallway connecting this and the casino side. We're at the very top where the spa is. up in the 32nd floor.
I did notice that.
Yeah, walking by that was tempting, but we didn't have time. But maybe tomorrow morning before the stream kicks back off. That'd be a good way to start the day.
$85,000.
Couple of interesting hands here from two of the bigger stacks at the table. Samuel opens up the action with ace queen suited, and Joe next to act in the cutoff will just let go of the 6-5 suited. A tempting hand, but didn't want to get into any tricky spots against Samuel, it looks like.
Exactly, yeah, depending on stack size, a hand like that can get you in some trouble. But again, if you're deep, it's something you play, but you got to be real careful here.
Kane in the big blind looks down at king 10 off. Two Broadway cards with 15 bigs behind. Chooses to call and see a flop.
Yeah.
A very important pot, as everyone is when you're short stack at a final table. Kane takes the king 10 to battle and sees an ace high flop, hitting Samuel's ace queen hard.
Two diamonds out there. It does have the king of diamonds, but hopefully he can kind of. Is he gonna? He checked, right? Oh, not yet.
Not sure if he's taking an action. Doesn't look like it. I think it's still on Kane. And this is one of those spots we were just talking about, picking your spots well. You know, don't have to get super aggressive. King 10, two Broadway cards in the big blind after a late position open. A lot of people in turbo tournaments might look at a great 3-bet spot there with 15 bigs. But in this spot, Kane, a very good and aggressive player, chose to take the passive route. How much does the tournament structure and the giant pay jumps come into play on choosing passive over hyper aggressive in a spot like that?
Exactly, yeah, and the thing with his stack is if he flops anything reasonable, he can realize the equity of his hand, so he doesn't just have to, like you said, put in 3 bets here. He can call, and also, you know, Samuel, being a bigger stack, can have some worse kings here, so you can have like king 9 suited, so he has some of them dominated, and just, like I said, you know, you get a 10 high flop, you're pretty comfortable with your hand, so there's multiple ways to play a short stack. In this case, Kane gets away a little unscathed, and yeah, a player in the hijack picks up a nice pot, flopping a very strong hand.
Kane, not only a very good tournament player, also has a heck of a voice. Have you heard him sing?
I have not. What is this?
Oh, this man is, I'm not sure the professional training went behind it, but I would believe it. There's a picture of our side table. Ostapchenko there in the top. Yeah, if you've heard him sing karaoke, as he often does during WSOP nights out during the summer,
I missed out, apparently.
Very deep voice and a very talented singer.
Cool.
If you get a chance, ask him about it.
Yeah, maybe I can play piano for him sometime.
Stop at 8 players or
get a band together.
6? 6, structure seats at 8. Who said 8? I think the structure sheet had 8. Oh, could be wrong. First? Okay.
Again, blinds 20,000, 40,000, 40,000. We're at hour-and-a-half long levels. And looks like Samuel picks up a really pretty hand under the gun too.
Oh, God.
We got somebody out there who could use some caffeine. Not sure who it is, but we got some yawns every hand, it feels like.
It's kind of interesting playing in an environment where you can see the sunlight right now,
Yeah.
and it's going to change. Obviously, it gets darker, and the vibe and the mood change a little bit. But right now, it's nice to have some sunlight in there.
Queen high flop. Lewis from the big blind pairs his queen for top pair.
And no backdoor diamonds here. So is this a hand with the jack high where you can turn some really good barreling cards with your jack high? So on this queen high board, I imagine he's going to continue betting here.
Keeps the betting lead, puts pressure on the shorter stack.
Yeah, and queen seven deuce, obviously your opponent in the big blind is going to have a wide range, is going to miss this flop a lot with a lot of hands. So totally reasonable here. And Louis obviously not going to go anywhere, flopping top pair.
Samuel looking for king, maybe an ace.
King, ace, 8,
9,
even.
8, yeah, all those can give him. This is not a card that gives him any extra equity, and he's drawing dead. See if he chooses to wave the white flag or has nefarious thoughts in mind. The check does come behind.
Yeah, theoretically the 6 is better for your opponent. He's going to have some 7-6 suited, stuff like that. But in this case, he chooses to give up. And now he has showdown value hitting a 10 on the river, so you might think that's good a lot of the time.
If we know one of the worst cards Samuel could have seen if Luis chooses to go for value, which he will.
175.
175.
Samuel's going to be tempted to pay this one off with second pair.
Yeah, I think he's just going to have to probably put this in his mind, of course, you know, make a pair on the river. Actually, backdoor clubs comes in too.
But part of the question is, Luis, you know, when he calls the flop, he has something on this board. It's such a dry board.
Very good disciplined fold there. I think a lot of players are just, well, I made a pair on the river, I call. Puts it together and it makes fold. Like you said, yeah, he really has to have kind of pair heavy on that flop, I think, versus draw heavy. So nice fold there.
And if he has a 2 or a 7, one of the lower pairs on that board, likely looking to just check it to showdown.
Get to showdown,
The
yeah.
queen, on the other hand, too strong to not go for some value on the end. There's our stacks. Joe Gosweiler on top of the counts here just at this feature table with 2.89 million. And Kane, after going through the blinds, playing a couple flops, it's all the way down to 11 bigs at this point.
And a lot of these players with middling to deep stacks at this table, being above 30 bigs or more. Joe here with the big stacks going to look down at an offsuit ace and deem it good for a raise. It's going to make it 85,000. The beauty about having a big stack is you can take hands that contain an ace in them and make them good enough candidates to put in raises, put pressures on your opponents, especially the short stacks. As we see here, Kane thinking on the button. The suited queen decides to let it go.
I don't think Arun will be letting this one go, though.
Oh, wow. So he has a fun stack size here where he can kind of do a mix of a bunch of different things here. Get creative, perhaps. Just call, perhaps.
13 bigs behind.
And he does, and I
Look at this.
actually kind of like this for the exact reason of he keeps like super dominated hands. Obviously, has every hand dominated right now, but disguises his hand. There's not going to be many flops, turns, or rivers he's ever going to fold on. Did he? Is he not? I thought he called. He put in. Or did he announce raise? Maybe is that the case?
Oh no, that was
Yeah.
a time chip.
Oh, see, okay, gotta be careful about
Yep.
the time chips. All right, so he does put in a raise.
Yep, 3 bets to 165. A very small 3 bet.
Yeah.
Almost a min click.
Yeah, interesting. One of his options for sure. Try to get some more chips in the pot.
We know a jam was not getting called in this spot, but does this move almost look stronger than a jam if you're in Joe's perspective?
Exactly. I think it's all about your opponent's perspective. How do they perceive what you're doing? Because sometimes a jam might seem stronger depending on the way your opponent thinks. So in this case, yeah, it's screaming. Oh my goodness!
The case.
Wow.
Ace.
What a flop.
When we're Joe and we're holding ace 7 and we saw just a min raise out of Arun, you got to think that a hand like ace king, ace queen, ace jack even might go for the 3-bet shove.
Right. So he might not think he contains a lot of ace X here. Little does he know he has pocket aces in.
I'll give you later.
His opponent, Joe, put some chips in.
The server dropped off his coffee and he said, "I'll give it to you later." if you're reading into it, that says I'm not busting this hand.
Yeah.
But that might be a level that doesn't exist here. Arun does check shove. Oh, check calls because
Yeah.
Joe just puts him
Yeah,
in.
he puts him in.
Think you're good.
And only running 8-9 would send Arun home.
You mean 8-9?
Otherwise, full double coming.
Okay.
Drawing dead on the turn. What a spot.
Ace, ace.
This time the 3-bet worked out. Kept it so small that Joe felt the need to stay in even with ace-7 off, and then
It puts,
the disastrous ace on the flop.
Puts you in a tough spot there. You're getting such a good price to call. Your hand is not great, but works out perfectly for the big blind there. Flopping top sets and gets the full double.
Sometimes the cards tell you what's going to happen, and in that case, only by 3-bet jamming pre-flop might he have lost his customer, but every other time, even if he just called pre, laid the trap on that board, likely getting all of it.
Exactly.
Joe falls out of the chip lead here at this feature table, turns that roll over to Jason Min. But with 16 players left, it's not as much of a final table dynamic of the chip leader running over everybody. There's still a lot of play left.
Yeah, a lot of play left, especially in this type of structure.
Can't believe that's all you had.
Had to think about it before he called. Just to make sure.
He did take a beat there before calling the all-in.
He did. He had to make sure he had the 2 aces. There's playing for a lot of money. Over 400,000 for first place.
You ever misread your hand in a big spot?
I don't even know if I should say not yet. I hope never to do that in a big spot. I have in some smaller spots, but yeah, maybe once or twice. Hopefully never do that. How about you, TJ?
Only in a PLO game, and it was when I was new to the game.
Okay.
So pretty
You get a
embarrassing.
pass for that. And
Yeah.
you learn very quickly. Hopefully for not a lot of money.
Yeah, I mean, it was a cash game, and it was fairly low stakes. But for me at the time, it was a big pot.
Oh, yeah.
And I folded a full house because on a trips board. So you have to have a pair in your hand when you're playing PLO to make a full house.
Right.
And the guy showed me like what I thought was top pair for a better full house. Yeah. Anyway, very embarrassing. This was a long time ago. Hope
You've come
to
a long
never
way
have.
since
Yeah,
then,
exactly. Got to go through some growing pains as a new player.
Absolutely. We've all paid our tuition
But
in poker.
what made it worse is I showed my hand like as I was about to fold, and then
Oh,
I
no.
mucked it, and the guy next to me said, "You had a full house."
For the extra needle,
Yeah.
they got to see you fold it too.
Well, if he didn't tell me, I might have taken longer to learn that lesson.
What's up, Sammy in the chat? And Ains, how are you?
Ana Feliz rooting for Luis with lots of hearts. That's how much she loves him. There's our payouts that we're playing for. Still 16 in play.
And a modest 4K pay jump. Coming up after one elimination. Kane now in the hijack. King Jack offsuit. 11 big blinds.
We'll see exactly how tight his range is going to be with a hand like this, and deems this good enough.
Now you block strong hands. No one's acted before you. If no one wakes up with something, you should likely get this through a decent amount of the time.
Arun fresh off a double. Looks down at ace-5 suited. This hand performs very well, as we know, as a 3-bet bluff or a shove candidate to get others to fold. But once there's no more pending action and Kane's all in, how do we feel about it in this spot?
Yeah, being on the button, you still have 2 players to worry about. I think it's just obviously not quite good enough to put in a call there, but worth some consideration. And just gonna get that through. So picks up a couple big blinds, much needed when every big blind matters.
It's the power of the all-in. We get a better hand to fold like ace-5, maybe even hands like king-queen have
Exactly.
to think. And he picks up the 2.5. Very important pot for Mr. Kane Collis, and we'll have a dealer change here. Staff here, Borgata, fantastic. Dealers very competent, and
Excellent.
having these kind of payouts with a high roller and a main event at the top of the penthouse tower and the overlook, as they call it, with the staff and just the whole vibe here, it's very special.
Look at that view. I mean, it's incredible.
Nobody's talking now.
If you weren't inspired to play poker before,
We're talking
I'm
loud.
inspired to play now after seeing that view up on this 32nd floor. I feel like a high roller.
I really like to give credit when tournament operators, poker room managers go the extra mile and make things special. They didn't have to do this. They didn't have to bring this up to the tower, but they saw an opportunity to treat their players well, to deliver some value for the buy-ins that they're collecting, and really turn this into a special occasion.
Yeah, exactly. And just kind of listening to the players and caring about the player experience, I think, is what separates the good from the best. And it's been an incredible experience here at Borgata.
Which is why when they throw a guarantee of 1.5 million, they know that they're going to crush it. 2.3 almost in the prize pool because players vote with their wallets, and here they are. Samuel, a monster in the small blind, looks down at pocket kings. Joe with a suited ace in the big blind, both very strong hands in a blind v blind battle.
And both very deep stacked here. So
can't blame him for trying to take control of the pot with an ace.
So now what do you do here if you're Samuel?
Could take either action. Of course, a call is dangerous out of position against somebody who covers you. He does take what might be considered maybe the easier route, going with a 4-bet, but it is a 4-bet for half of his stack. And typically when we're putting in half of our stack, maybe an all-in might be a more appropriate play, because we're never bluffing at this point, right? We're pot committed no matter what.
You're showing that you're just very unlikely to have folds if your opponent 5-bet jams when you put in half your stack. So the way Joe has played this hand, his hand now just gets to fold after putting in the 3-bet with not much post-flop playability.
We'll see if he agrees with 2 million behind. Came into this table as the chip leader, lost a chunk, and now finds himself in another precarious spot with the small blind 4-betting him.
Yeah, once you choose to take your hand as a 3-bet here, when you get 4-bet, it just really obviously shrivels up, and probably going to end up finding a fold here.
And like you said, when Samuel chooses this sizing, it's almost communicating, hey, if you 5-bet jam, I'm not folding. And when you have ace-3, playing for all of it is not something you really want to do. Is there any chance Samuel could be bluffing with a hand after he puts in this many chips?
It'd be a pretty sick bluff.
Yeah.
He would theoretically have a hand like ace-3 suited to do that with. But yeah, nice pot, nice pickup, and always nice to just drag a pot.
Not the start that Joe Gosweiler dreamt of. Apparently in some conversation prior to the table, he's a local coach of a sports team. I think I heard football, not certain. But the man certainly has a competitive spirit, and we see him wanting to battle and fight for pots here early.
Yep.
Adjusted chip counts there. We do have time chips in play, as we mentioned there. You see that stack right next to Kane's stack that says time on them. 30-second shot clock.
Yeah, I learned using time chips. You got to be careful. You might think your opponent's flicking in a call when really they're just flicking in a time chip.
Yeah.
So you got to make sure and pay attention to that as you see a player extend their hand out to put some chips in. could just be a time chip.
Yeah, I do like places that have gone to something that doesn't look like a chip for
Yeah.
extensions or massive oversized chips or plaques or something along those lines.
Raised to 225.
Few real hands here. Samuel opens, or sorry, Jason opens the ace-2 suited from the cutoff, gets 3-bet by Samuel, and then immediately Joe's in another spot with pocket tens in the small blind.
Yeah, a tricky spot here, facing a raise and a 3-bet. It's another one. He's been in some dicey spots so far today, and another one again.
He has 48 big blinds.
Yes.
Any appropriately sized 3-bet would be over a third of his stack.
Raise.
Puts in the 4-bet, decides to take it to the aggressive route.
Plus does lean slightly smaller, which I like. Only puts in a quarter of his stack. Still puts the pressure on the button.
And gets very quick folds. Nice pickup there for Joe.
Back.
Listen to him say it. That felt like an important pot for that man, at least momentum-wise.
Yeah, you love to just get that one through.
Can you wait 30 minutes?
We got Jeremy Geis there in the front, along with Chad, the man of many suits, tournament director.
Easy fold.
Behind the scenes, pulling something off like this, it takes a lot of work. We were on the other side in the conference center up above, complete opposite end of the casino. And the production, tournament staff moved everything over here basically overnight, including Guerrilla Gaming, who set up this entire production stream from one night to the next. Very impressive, flawless, and right back in action.
Yeah, absolutely. Kane all in again here. Under the gun, suited ace, going to be good enough.
How much is it?
One of those where you shove and you just hope not to get called, because if you do, you're usually in rough shape after shoving from under the gun.
And this is about 25% of Samuel's stack if he finds a call here, which ace-10 suited is going to be ahead of, you know, a little bit of Kane's shoving range here. In this exact scenario, you see though Kane has ace-7 suited. Samuel hasn't dominated, but he does have to worry about a few factors, you know. Button, small blind, big blind, next to act.
5, 4, 5.
Do you think if Samuel was last to act that he would be just pretty much fist bump calling this spot?
I do. Yeah, I do.
So having 3 people behind him, slightly concerning. If we put 545 in and then get raised, so we want to just throw up.
Yeah, gross spot if you get raised. He also, because Kane is a good player, he's been in big spots before. He's capable of having, you know, a really appropriate shoving range under the gun, which would include hands that ace-10 suited has crushed. But here he gets it through. Very nice, and that's kind of the power of the shove there. Get better to fold sometimes.
Timing is everything. If configurations were slightly different and the big blind had ace-10, Kane might be on his way out the door.
Exactly.
But because they were distributed just a few positions earlier, we get a fold and feel good about it.
How many
Yeah,
people they
Kane
have for the
picks up
10K
some
so
much
far?
needed big blinds there.
How many people they have for the 10K? 14?
Yeah.
14, but they said that they had 3 more people coming in.
3 more coming?
Yeah, 3 more coming in.
Here these players talking about the 10K
Under
high
25.
roller happening just a few steps away from this table.
This one's mine?
Registration is open all day long. They've already got 2 tables running and several more people planning on hopping in. I would imagine even some of these players, should they be unfortunate to bust, will take their newfound tournament winnings and hop over to the high roller.
Yeah. Parlay it on over there.
Joe definitely seeing the majority of the playable hands thus far at this table, involved in nearly every pot, and appropriately so. This time with ace-jack suited from the cutoff, comes in for a raise.
Yeah, it kind of shows you how card distribution plays a big part. Sometimes you just get a bunch of playable hands, and sometimes you just don't.
And we see Ryan there in seat 1. Very good tournament player, but kind of, I don't know if he's played a hand yet, and a little bit of frustration every time he folds these napkins.
Yeah, I hate looking down at napkins. You want to get involved, want to play pots, but it also keeps you out of trouble sometimes.
That's true. Speaking of potential trouble, Kane in the big blind off a short stack will come along with a suited 4-5, 5-4. don't know why I said it 4-5. I hate doing that, and it annoys me. Higher number first. Always,
Higher number
right?
first.
Joe flops nothing, but on a paired 7-7-8 board, Kane has a gut shot and a board that is typically better for his range, the low to medium cards, but
Right, if you're deeper there, you can do some fun stuff with a hand like that. If you had like 4-5 of clubs, 4-5 of hearts, or sorry, 5-4 of
thank
hearts.
you. I won't ever I'm not ever going to call you out on it or ask somebody to correct it, but it bothers me
I just realized
personally.
I did it.
Yeah.
But yeah, you can do some fun things if you're a little deeper stacked there, but in that case, you just have to let it go.
You're right, at least the time angle.
Because as you said, he does he does favor him in the big blind a little bit more, that flop texture there.
Are we allowed to curse on this thing?
Oh no.
Probably.
Jack Ace suited, says Poker Org in the chat. No, thank you. You know what you're doing.
I thought you were full of shit.
Just on YouTube. You do whatever you want, probably.
Nice.
Players asking if foul language is allowed.
Within reason. I'm sure.
Probably not going to hear it from me and Ash, hopefully.
Hopefully
unless
not.
something has gone horribly wrong. But just a normal tournament out there for these guys. You know, under the lights with 400K in play.
Jason now, I think this is the first hand we've seen him play, or VPIP, raising up the 9-8 suited. Under the gun 1. Blind still 20, 40,000, 40,000. Luis with a above average playable hand in the big blind. 10-7 suited, gonna make the call.
A lot of Luis Ortiz fans in the chat.
Say, Blake, 1 point.
Both players with, although Jason has a 7 plus range advantage on ace 5-6, I would say, decent amount of the time.
That is 55,000.
Gets to attack the ace high board.
Well, Luis with some backdoors, both the straight variety and the flush variety. But seeing an ace on there, you know your opponent's going to be betting very often. Very small bet, of course. He's got some fight in him. Not going to just give up.
I got a raise to 185.
Takes all of that information and chooses to fight back with a 3-bet from the big blind. This has to look kind of odd to Jason. Wait a minute, the ace high board, I raise pre-flop, you're the big blind. What are you doing 3-betting me?
Yeah, I mean, Luis's almost obvious hands here would be like maybe some heart draws and obviously 2 pairs, 5-6, ace-6, ace-5, which he's going to have a lot of. Jason, however, has all the best aces like ace-king, ace-queen, etc. And Luis unblocks hearts. And he does get kind of a barreling card on the turn here.
Very interesting card. Jason did not call the turn thinking he had the best hand, I would imagine, but knows all those dynamics, position. He chose to continue, maybe looking to take it away, or just happen to drill the nuts. But as it is, he makes second pair. And we'll see if Luis wants to keep firing.
Luis had probably one of his worst hands on the flop that would possibly start bluffing, although ambitious, but I love the aggression here. Now Jason makes a pair.
And Luis has to maybe feel a little unlucky thus far. If it was just a deuce, any card that didn't give Jason, like 7, 8, 9 basically, then this would probably get through if he followed up. But as it is, I don't think Jason's going to let it go after calling the flop. Making a pair, still having the gutter ball.
Yeah, and 7, 8 does get there. If he was somehow, check raising a straight open-ended straight draw.
Jason
We need TV
in a
Jason-
here.
spot
yeah.
has to think that if he doesn't improve on the river, that last 725 might be in play.
Yep, got to think about that
North Jersey.
river barrel.
Nah, this is our
Opponent's showing a lot of strength now, post flop by check raising, flop, betting, turn. And Jason gonna
With
let
the
it go after
Hanover
Luis
Park
gets some
back.
extra chips from him on the flop by floating. And well played. I like the attack by Luis. Very, very nice move there. Kind of puts your opponent in a tough spot if they don't exactly have an ace, right? Even kings are put in a weird spot there, so you just get to attack the ace high board and find a spot and picked up chips.
Not certain what the plan is there when we call the flop check raise. Is it just to hit a 7? Because if that's the case, then that's not going to happen often enough to justify it. But when we do improve, and we still have the gut shot, almost feels like we likely have to continue if we're choosing to call the flop check raise.
Exactly. I think that maybe perhaps what he was thinking is that Luis is going to have some check raise give ups on the ace high. So when he has some check raise give ups, we just get to bet turn and then get him to fold a lot because in theory you're going to have some check raise give ups. But when he sees the extra aggression on the turn bet from Luis, I think he just knows he's likely either facing a very strong draw or is just beat. In that case, very nice play for Luis.
Once is enough.
Well said. Back to the table, a suited ace-5 from Samuel.
Yeah, that was actually a really fun hand. I'm still thinking about
Yeah.
it and dissecting it. It was a very fun one because Luis found a very dusty bluff, but it worked. And it was just like, I could nerd out about this all
Yeah.
day. But the 10-7 suited there with some back doors, some back
Did you play
straight draws,
golf there?
flush draws. It's just a fun kind of hand that he found worthy enough to start bluffing and attack his opponent. So
Those are the hands that
Do the national anthem in the
very good players find,
Yeah.
whereas I've got 7-10, it's ace-6-5, I fold.
exactly.
And we just give up. But there are ways to win
played,
pots that take getting creative, take putting your opponent on a range, take following through with that double barrel. I would have been very curious what would have happened if he did get a call on the turn.
Exactly.
And then we saw a brick on the river. Would he have fired that third barrel for his tournament life, or would he have given up?
That would have been a fun one.
I didn't have to.
Yeah, and in a lot of players too, when a player goes almost a big blind bet, might just call to float there, but instead takes the aggressive route and puts in the 3-bet.
Oh, so you didn't
Anyway,
have
fun hand.
They don't
Speaking of fun hands, Samuel looks down at pocket queens.
Yeah.
3 months ago.
He's
Yeah.
loving it. We'll see if any of
I
his
played,
opponents can find a hand. That's the hard part about poker. It's not just finding a hand,
The
it's getting some
TBC.
action, right?
Right, and I talk about the run good that has to happen in tournaments, and some of the run good is your opponent having worse when you have better. That's part of the run good. So it's just finding cooler spots too.
trip we will do
And,
again.
unfortunately for Samuel, his opponents don't have much so far in this one.
He's only got 50.
Sorry.
Oh, Arun chooses to complete. Oh, sorry, no, just making his bet right and folds. That makes more sense. Jason, on the other hand, will call from the big blind with Jack-9 off. Well, flopped everything. Now Samuel praying that Jason from the big blind has a 4. We know he doesn't, but how will he play his
Oh, you didn't have
flopped
your gloves?
top boat?
Yeah, you're just praying your opponent has a
What'd
4,
you shoot?
maybe a smaller
94?
pocket pair.
Nice.
Perhaps even a slow placed
Eight,
ace,
10?
slow played king queen, ace queen,
18
something.
and
But
you
in this
got
case,
94?
his opponent picks up a
I was
open ender. Actually,
Yeah.
Jason slightly surprised, maybe slight alarm bells that his opponent checks back on a board like this. Oftentimes we'll just see a continuation bet from the pre-flop raiser.
yeah.
With the paired board, perhaps Jason thinks that his opponent thinks he has a 4
Yeah, of course.
and proceeds with a check. Either way, we know that Samuel has a lock hold on this pot, and now Jason's turning open ender. So exactly what Samuel wanted. Let his opponent catch up a little bit. We'll
Yeah.
see if it earns him some more chips.
Yeah, you just want your opponent to pick up some equity, anything, and even just the actually the diamond flush comes in as well. So, Jason would continue with some of his diamonds. In this
Hey. Where you
case, he has an open ender.
Black, king, or not, or 8 would be disastrous for
Over.
Jason. A brick 7. Jason left with just jack high.
You said North Jersey, where you?
Yeah, North Jersey.
Even if Samuel
Orange County.
didn't have such a strong hand, very hard for Jason to really represent much at this point. All the draws brick out on the turn.
Yes, I got one check.
We just check called the turn.
Yeah, and I guess maybe you could target some 10x. It's very unlikely his opponent has a queen. I think he went 275. Gets the fold. Jason gets lucky there to not hit his hand.
Correct. Sometimes we don't even know what run good means at the table. We're sitting there hoping to make our straight, and that's the last thing we want.
Exactly. We're praying to hit our card, and little do we know, thank goodness it didn't come.
That's 1 point for the slow play. It did get him a turn bet, whereas we
did.
know if he bet the flop, likely just getting a quick fold.
Yeah. Very low frequency check back, I think, on the flop there. Gonna continue for at least one big blind on a paired board like that most of the time, but gets him an extra bet.
Folds. One folds.
Here comes Demo for the first time. Looks down at 10-9 suited. But 21 bigs in play. Will elect to open this one.
Yeah, under the gun to a little over 20 bigs to start the hand. It's a little dicey raising suited connectors, but this one he deems good enough. You still have playability.
And also, when we've been folding this entire time, our opens might gain a little more respect. So
Definitely.
knowing that we might be able to widen our range a little bit. Regardless, 9-10 or 10-9 suited, a very pretty hand.
Very good hand. And just like that, he picks up the blinds. Gets it through.
Well, sorry to keep you from the high roller. We knew you'd be out there in the 10K if you weren't commentating today.
Yeah, you know. Had to just be up here in the booth. Sacrifice. You know, I would have shipped it. It's fine. It's fine.
Slide out.
I heard them saying they're still expecting a few more players enter that field. And I think they're at 14 or 15 now. So might get up to 20 entries in that 10K.
Was talking with Herb, the tournament director, and he said he's hopeful that they can hit 30. So somewhere between 30 to 40 was their target. Usually he's pretty spot on.
Well, I did hear from a few people that there'd be a few people re-entering that one a few times if necessary. So a couple bullets maybe from a couple players.
Demo opens up the ace-jack off. Gets a couple folds from some legit hands. Kane's pocket fours hit them up. Queen 10 suited hits them up. Treading cautiously here.
Yeah, and if we are still at 16, I believe that we're still on that 4K pay jump, possibly.
Exactly true. And once we do get another player eliminated, then the next several pay jumps are all flat, the same. So we might see less tight play at that point, but who's to say? Of course, all eyes are still on the top prize as both players flop a pair here. Joe out of position with 8-6 off. Demo with the betting lead, ace-jack off, flops top.
Yeah, I flopped top, but this is an extremely dynamic board. Your opponent can have all types of straight draws, two pairs, combo draws, hands like 10-9, for example. So you have a very good hand now. However, it's very susceptible to dynamic turns and rivers.
Pretty much half the deck is scary,
Yeah.
even with the hand as strong as ace-jack off.
Exactly.
And the big blind has random cards per se, not necessarily random, but it's hard to put them on an exact 2 cards, so I like the bet. I like keeping control of the pot and trying to take this down or get some value from worse hands.
Yeah, and if you're Joe, you call
Against
here.
my better
and,
judgment, I'm gonna fold.
I mean, yeah, it's a good fold, and your hand rarely improves unless you hit exactly an 8. Yeah, it's just a dicey spot for a hand like ace 8, 6 Aussie, even when you flop a pair.
Yeah, and our opponent can just keep barreling whether they have it or not.
Yeah, don't blame Joe for that fold.
Chip counts are kind of remaining fairly static. Not a whole lot of big pots being played thus far.
Yeah, a lot of stacks are right in that middling stack range.
Two folds. Three folds.
Kane looking either annoyed, tired, or pensive. Not sure what the finger tap on the forehead represents, but he's feeling something. Luis, pocket deuces +2, opens it up from middle position.
7 folds.
And he will face a couple strong hands in the blinds. Joe has pocket 6s. Waiting in the wings is Ryan's ace king in the big blind.
And we saw him.
190.
Yeah, if he's gonna 4-bet the 10s, he's probably going to be 3-betting the 6s here out of the small. And now, big blind, ace king, and about 25 big blinds.
I don't think that Ryan has voluntarily put a single chip in the pot, and all of a sudden he looks down at ace king and a raise and a 3-bet behind.
Yeah, and with about 25-ish bigs, is a slam dunk all in here.
Raise all in.
He agrees.
You might be able to just get folds, or obviously get in a flip spot for a very, very big stack here. 16 left, 400K up top.
The cold 4-bet looks so strong, even stronger after not having to play the pot in so long.
Yeah, a nice spot to just pick up a ton of big blinds when your opponents fold. And if not, you get to see all 5 cards with a very strong hand.
Fold.
You obviously block aces and kings.
Like you said, just under 23 big blind shove after Joe 3-bets.
1,110,000.
This would be over half of Joe's stack. He says that's a lot, and pure number it is, but really makes sense with all that action. No other raise would make sense. So
Right.
if he's going to 4-bet, you got to rip it.
Yeah, and that's when knowing big blinds comes into play. You know, you might say, oh, he has 1.4 million. Well, in big blinds, that's just 25 bigs.
Well done by Ryan Dodd. He's got nearly $1 million in earnings, according to Hendon Mob, the man from New Jersey. A deep run in this thing would put him over that million mark, the coveted millionaire on Hendon Mob.
Wow, pretty crazy. Best live cash, 236,000. So he's played for some big money before. In the mix.
Yeah, that was actually not even a first place finish. His best place was, or best cash was a second place in an MSPT event down in Las Vegas, the Deep Stack Series. Plenty of first places under his belt, but none would be as big as this one would be.
folds around to the button. Ace gonna be more than good enough to put in a raise. Big blind wakes up with it. Puts in the 3 bets.
Joe is just, he's got to feel like he's getting picked on. We know every
Yeah.
time his opponent has had the goods.
And it gets frustrating because you don't know that they've just had it. And so, yeah, like you said, you might feel like you're getting picked on a little bit. But it's important to kind of stay even keel and just realize, hey, most of the time they just have it. And it's all right. Fold and move on to the next one. It's hard to not feel like you're getting hit a little bit.
Something tells me Joe's going to pull up this stream on the first break.
He'll see
what
it.
exactly is going on here.
He'll see it. Yeah. It's just like sometimes it's unfortunate timing in this game. Pick spots and get 3 bet. Luis under the gun. Ace 10 suited.
Al can hang in the chat. Is that Al from down in Florida? If so, shout out, thanks for being here. Even if it's not, shout out, thanks for being here.
Kane in the big blind with a suited king. Gonna head to a flop of queen 10-6, 2 clubs. Kane now sub 10 big blinds after making the call. And Luis checks back his middle pair. He's a good kicker. He improves now to 2 pair. Club flush does come in.
Mixed feelings about this turn card.
Right. Flush does come in. However, you now improve to 2 pair. Just gonna start betting. Kane with the quick fold as he has nothing other than a gut shot. Gets out of there unscathed and now sub 10 bigs. Luis picks up another pot. 1.6 million now. Here you can see our chip counts. Kane, our shortest, and Arun next with 27 big blinds, and everybody else has a middling to somewhat deep stack, relatively speaking, on this featured table. Again, there's 16 left, $400,000 plus up top.
Shout out Paul Orstein, also in the chat, hardworking tournament reporter who's bringing you the action on Poker.org Instant Live Feed. Also wrote a couple of very fantastic articles highlighting some of the players in the mix. One just went up this afternoon on Donovan Dean, Alabama's next favorite son, according to him. So you can find that on Poker.org's front page.
Kane now in the small blind with the suited jack. Could opt to jam here. Know how often if he tries, yep, and he does go for it all. Luis with the jack ace suited.
Less than 10 big blinds. This is exactly the kind of hand Kane hopes will fold, and it does.
Yeah, it's the power of the all-in first. Your opponents are forced to call and put to the test, and he gets the better jack to fold. Good result for Kane.
Did it break after this level?
There's
the
a
one after.
view of our side table. Looks like seat 1 is gone. Though no graphics for players left, we are down to 15 if my count's accurate. We'll confirm that. 8 at the main feature, 7 at the side. If that's true, we have made a pay jump.
Right, and if I'm not mistaken, that was the player from the $500 Almighty, who I believe got 3rd place, who was wearing the champion hoodie.
I think, well, that player who was just standing up,
Yes,
that's him. That's
Yeah.
Carlene Swed.
Arlene. What a run for him. Gets
Guys,
3rd.
having a series.
Yeah, 3rd in the Almighty for a very big chunk of money, and then now deep in the main.
Confirming who that player was who busted. Looks like, unconfirmed, it was Sandeep Mathai who busted in 16th place. Now the players have locked up their pay jump. Cool near 4,000 added to their pockets.
Let's go, let's go,
Let's go, let's go indeed.
Pay jumps are always fun, no matter the amounts. Sit there and make money by just surviving. It's a fun feeling. Out of the gun now, Samuel wakes up with a nice pair of pocket tens.
Yep, pay jump confirmed. We're at $22,133 locked up. 15th, 14th, 13th, and 12th all make that number. So the next 4 players to bust all make the same amount. No pay jump until we get to 11th place.
And Joe flats the 3s next to act after the under the gun raise.
I was looking to play some pots.
Yeah. There are some dangers flatting a small pair like that in such an early position.
And Kane Collis looks down at a pocket pair. He does have the open coming from under the gun.
Yeah, I'm probably pitching this one. Joe can be flatting some bigger pairs there too, even like pocket 7s and 8s under the gun 1. So it likely dominated or just not in a great spot there with the 6s. So I love the fold by King there.
That's a very disciplined fold. A lot of players look at 11 big blinds on a pocket pair and think they have to go with it, but the action behind told the story. He listened to what they said.
Yeah, you're going to be just dominated so often and also called so often with an under the gun raise. So yeah, love the fold there. Staying out of trouble.
3 ways to a flop, one of the 3s. Oh my, look at this flop for Jason.
Oh my goodness, yeah.
Samuel also has the 10 of hearts and an overpair. Little does he know he's drawing nearly dead. And Joe with the open ender.
Yeah, Joe could get in some trouble here, but wow. Jason with this locked up.
It may not be Samuel's favorite flop with 3 hearts, but it's one of the best flops you'll see with pocket 10s, and still he is nearly drawing dead. How will Joe play it is a big question on how big this pot could get. Checks behind.
Yeah, I like to check behind here. Keeps. Oh my goodness! Wow, what a turn card. Very dicey though, because any 6 or ace makes it straight. Obviously, there's already flushes out there. This board is so dynamic.
This is one of the only ways that Jason could potentially have lost this pot, by bringing in the 1 outer 3 to give Joe a set. What sizing will Jason choose with the flop flush?
Yeah, you're out of position against 2 ranges. You don't have to bet too big here. Here he goes a little over 3 big blinds.
Praying that the pre-flop raiser has an ace, or maybe either of the 2 players have a 6. Samuel's going to be interested with that 10 of hearts, and Joe with
You
a
guys are
set
doing it.
says, I'm in here, pair the board. Okay, well,
Just a straight flush for Jason.
now he's praying somebody has that king of hearts.
Praying for it, yeah. Samuel, nobody can love their hand unless they're Jason here. Just losing to so many hands, and even Samuel with the heart coming in. Just don't love it.
Yeah, bet here looks so strong. Of course, we're going to see one. A straight flush on stream.
Yeah, so does Jason go big here? Or does he try to get called by some hands just like Samuel's? 10 of hearts. Maybe a queen of hearts, perhaps.
He does check, leaving some rope for
Yeah.
Samuel or Joe. I think
I think
Samuel's hand's probably too strong to bet, or not strong enough to bet for value, too weak, too strong to bluff, if that makes sense. Oh, but it's Joe. Jason knows his opponent.
interesting. Yeah, I was going to say, Jason just, King extracts so much value from a lot of worse hands that just maybe want to put in a crying call. But it works in this case as Joe then puts out a bet.
Well, he knows that if his opponent has a king of hearts, he's betting anyway, right?
Right.
But if he doesn't, or maybe he'll get someone like Joe with 0 showdown and just playing the board to put out a bet. So it works both ways.
All in.
This bet meant to get the king
I'm
of
the
hearts
wrong
to call.
three. I need the 3 of hearts.
It's a little bet out of Joe there.
Jason, the professional. A lot of us would have been tempted to show that 3 of hearts. You don't have it because I do, but nope.
Yep.
Slides his hand to the dealer, collects his very nice pot, and he is our new table chip leader thanks to a flopped flush, turn straight flush,
Yeah.
check raise river.
Yep, gets a little extra value by checking river.
Thought I had 3 of hearts too initially.
He said Joe thought he had the 3 of hearts. Definitely did not.
You had it. You had 3 of hearts?
Needed a board pair.
Did you?
You get to see.
Yeah, I know.
Thought that one was going to check through there. Jason is 71 big blinds now, our
So
chip
you-
leader at this table. 15 left.
I didn't answer.
You can make us wait 30 minutes. Actually, on me.
Joe's still running into it every time he chooses to take a stand or take a spot. He runs into basically the best hand his opponent could have.
Yeah, I think that river spot was pretty ambitious with 2 ranges in there. The board being so dynamic. Props to him for going for it, but just wasn't going to work in that case.
Might work a lot if his opponents don't have, the 3 of hearts or a strong heart. It would have put 10s in a horrible spot. Like
Definitely.
10s would have been a bluff catcher. So
Definitely.
I like the idea of aggression, but against 2
Yes.
opponents, both put chips in on the turn, was ambitious and didn't work that time.
Yeah, I love the aggression, though. He's just running into bad timing with his opponents just waking up with this. So he's in here for a reason. He's has aggression and being assertive. So it's never a bad thing in poker.
And if the board paired there on the river, he'd have all the chips and it'd be a very different story.
Absolutely. Jason now with a nice 3-betting hand out of the small blind, being these suited aces.
Pressure back on Arun, the shorter stack.
Yeah, and you're inclined to pick a lot of 3-bets from the small blind. You get a lot of the buttons wide range to fold, just like this hand, ace deuce off.
All options in play except for a call there. So
Right.
fold obviously very standard, but if we're getting 3-bet by an appropriate range from Jason there, ooh, I like a 4-bet bluff occasionally.
You like that 4-bet rip with the ace deuce
it's,
off,
it's
huh?
pretty light, yeah. That's
Yeah,
just where my
you're-
head goes.
Yeah, and you're finding ways to win a hand. Obviously, you do block some strong ones, having the ace, of course. And if like you said, your opponents are 3-betting appropriately, they are going to be a bit wide there, and they're not just going to have nutted call-off hands. So, yeah, you can get a little spicy there on the button.
Yeah, it gets you into trouble. The one time you're wrong and you're out of the tournament.
Playing for
But,
400K, I'm gonna think that one. I'm gonna think about that one first.
I've busted many a tournament in very similar ways.
I love that. I love it. You got to go for it in poker. Aggression wins. Aggression wins.
A stronger hand for Arun from the cutoff. Pocket jacks. Everyone's favorite hand to hate.
Give me pocket jacks every hand.
You'll take it?
I would take it.
Guarantee you won't win any tournaments.
I take it you don't like pocket jacks.
No, I'll take it, but if you have it every single hand, it's going to get real awkward.
It's better than getting 9-3 off every hand.
This is true.
It's been my story lately.
Wow.
Uh-oh. Oh, my goodness. This could get disastrous.
Powerhouses of hands
Wow.
around. Samuel has ace-king suited from the small.
Wow. This is going to, yeah. Joe's going to look down at another 6 spots.
Did Samuel jam?
Yes, he did, I think. Yeah, he put his, yeah. Wow.
The question is, what will Arun do with
Arun has
only
no
660
idea.
behind?
Yeah, and you have no idea that, you know, your opponents are sharing the same exact outs. Put your jacks in a really good spot.
If he could see the cards, this is kind of a dream spot for
Dream.
pocket jacks. It's a flip with 2 outs dead and chance for a triple.
Yeah, once you think this one through, you have less than 20 big blinds. I mean,
Obviously, Samuel 3-betting from the small blind doesn't necessarily have to beat, but when you get the cold jam for your tournament life from Joe, what are we hoping to see here if we're Arun? Does
this-
pocket tens even do this?
right. So the small blind did just 3-bet, didn't put his whole stack in, but essentially, you know.
I
those
think
only-
it's our graphics because
Okay.
that's the effective stack,
Okay, that
1.52.
makes
So
sense.
indeed, yes, all in
all
from
in,
both
all in.
players.
Mm-hmm. Yeah.
What are I would imagine if we just got a 3-bet jam from one of the two players, we'd see a call. But both of them, very hard to imagine that we're in the lead, and yet in this exact situation, we are.
Yeah. Joe's shove looks very strong, of course, but Samuel could be isolating a little bit, you know, could be isolating hand like tens even. So Joe's hand, I don't know, maybe Arun will put this together. Oh, he puts in the fold.
he's
Yeah,
gonna
he's
be
going to hate to
sick.
see this. Yeah, rough spot.
That's more than right. We're all.
It's actually, no, it's his action.
How much was this
but I
bet?
think he bet more.
He bet more than I called.
Oh, he did? Yeah.
Oh.
He's got 40.
It's more, yeah.
Okay,
didn't realize it was more.
Yeah.
sorted. We're in there one way or another.
Let's keep it in both of us. No closing it on. It's hard.
Don't give us the camera on Arun, who's probably sick at not taking this spot. We'll see if he feels better on the board.
I'm in.
Ace high flop.
Wow.
And Samuel has a free roll. Doesn't come in. These two will chop it up, and Arun lives to see another day.
No,
Yeah, wow.
I made the best fold.
I would have loved it if I called and hated it when I saw that flop. So he saves his tournament life there by putting in the fold with the 3-bet and the shove after his open.
And I think it's, if you want to say quote-unquote the right fold, because for this reason, like, it's only ace-king, maybe ace-queen, ace-king, and it's so hard for both of our opponents to have that hand.
Exactly.
no.
Especially when Joe thinks for about 5 seconds before putting all of his chips in.
Yeah, that was a quick all-in. So that looked like, what is he doing that with? He's thinking about it more, even with a hand like tens, nines. Like, he's not doing that with something worse, I think.
Yeah,
Oh,
nines
that
and tens
often.
would agonize
Oh, yeah.
if they
They
did
would be
put
sick,
it in.
right?
Yeah.
He wouldn't just rip that quickly, I don't think. So Arun stays alive here.
Fan chat favorite Luis back in the mix with a pair of hockey
All
sticks,
good.
raises pocket sevens.
I liked it better when I was winning pots all day.
What's the bet? How much?
80.
See Samuel with a suited 10-9 off of 50 big blind stack. Holds a pretty hand, holds the button. We'll just let it go. facing the early position open from Luis. Not much to get excited about from the hands in the blinds. We'll just get through.
Button's good.
Again, if you're recently joining us, this is the Borgata Poker Open Championship. $3,500 buy-in, over $2.2 million in the prize pool. Blew out the guarantee, and $408,000 for first place. There's our chip counts at this live-streamed feature table. There are 15 players in play. This table and one other just off to the side. I'm Terrence Reed, alongside Ashley Frank Pokerface Ash with me. First time on the East Coast, right, Ash?
This is my very first time. I've been wanting to make it out here for so long. Finally have, and I'm probably going to be back a lot. This has been phenomenal in the Borgata. Super nice, and the poker's been awesome, so I'm happy to be here on the East Coast.
Good luck.
Kane Collis moves in once again. The ace jack off with 11.5 big blinds from under the gun.
Feels like aces when you wake up with a hand like that, when you have 11 big blinds.
Arun, the second shortest stack of the table, has a worse ace. Lets it go after some thought.
$460 it is.
Kane's found some good spots to get some shoves through and not be all in and at risk. But the big blind wakes up with a pocket pair.
Oh, and this is probably a pretty close spot, facing an under the gun open.
Yeah, it's 10 over 10 big blinds, but would be almost half of the big blind stack. Sure, you're dominated by obviously bigger pairs, but he also is going to have a lot of ace X hands.
Average stack 50.
What is your call in this spot, Tej?
I think if I'm looking over at Kane, putting him on an appropriate range, I would assume he's probably folding like deuces and threes, and so now we're looking at fours. But also, if he has a super premium like aces, kings, I would imagine he's raising to two big blinds instead of shoving. So putting him on a hand very similar to what he has. 6s, 7, 8s have us crushed. All aces have us in bad shape, or we're flipping against them. So I don't hate the fold there.
Yeah.
Because we're never just in a great position.
Right. And it was for about half of his stack.
Yeah.
So it's not an easy call there, even if you have a pair. It's, you know, you can err on the side of folding in those spots, I think.
What's happening?
Full break, rear flip flop.
You hear Chad saying that this table's getting booted. On break coming up on stream. I guess we're looking at hour and a half or so. We're going to swap the tables. So this feature will move out to the side. That side table will move up to the feature. We'll see a brand new set of 8 players. They make the joke that we're not talking enough, but I think this was the plan all the way from the start, is to flip-flop and give the audience a different look.
Yeah, and there's some fun players to watch on the other table as well, so I'm looking forward to that. Got some really, really dynamic players still left in this field. Luis now, king, queen off under the gun, raising up to 80,000.
Yeah, I did that.
I don't imagine Kane will be calling with this one. Does let it go. Luis gets another one through.
Actually, I may have misspoke. An hour and a half or so is dinner break, but we will have another 15-minute break before then. And we'll see. I think they may be switching them out during that shorter break. To be determined. We'll share it with you when we know, but won't be too long till we hit that 15-minute break, the first one of the day on stream.
Still quite a bit of daylight here. I don't even know what time it is, but still got such a nice view.
Yeah, I was really hoping, trying to figure out where the sun was, that we'd see the sunset here in view. I don't think it's going to happen with the way that they're facing,
That
but
would be cool.
We still got the ocean out there.
We might have it behind us
Yeah.
in this booth.
One way or another,
We're
me
gonna
and
see
Ash
it.
are going to see it, but you guys won't.
Yeah.
Very cloudy day here in Atlantic City. Sun coming in through the clouds in the back.
Yeah, really nice view. And then got the water. I'm not used to seeing a lot of water where I'm from.
That being Texas.
Well, Arizona to start, and then
Yeah.
also Texas.
Texas now. Yeah, a lot of desert in your life.
A lot of desert. Yeah. Under the gun 1. It's big stacks, so you can raise these pocket pairs like pocket 5s.
Joe again with a playable hand.
Samuel.
He seems to take his time every decision
yeah, so
regardless.
he's in a rhythm there of taking his time, considerations, and then putting in the fold. And now, yeah, like you said, Joe, playable hand. Gonna opt to call this time the hijack.
Tired of 3-betting and getting jammed on, I would imagine. No,
He does put in
3-bet.
the 3-bet.
Our
I
apologies.
love the aggression by Joe.
I actually prefer to play this hand as a 3-bet as well. I just thought maybe he was getting tired of running into it, but if you're going to play the ace-queen off, 3-bet, clear out some equity from behind, put the pressure on the player, and take control of the pot.
Exactly, yeah, ace-queen off in this spot, in this formation, in the hijack. I love putting in the 3-bet here. You can, of course, mix in some flats with strong hands, but in this case, I prefer to play it as a 3-bet, and it gets the job done, gets technically a better hand to fold, and just gets to take it down.
We've all been there where, we just call with a hand like that, we whiff the flop, and then don't know what to do.
Exactly, and also leave us susceptible for big blind 3-bets, which we haven't seen a ton at this table yet, but yeah, just be able to assert aggression and kind of take control of the hand there.
You have to play good poker. You're on TV. That's why. Can't play that.
Haven't heard a ton of talk at this table.
Can you chop?
Players, of course, rightfully so, being thoughtful and focusing for trying to play for 400,000 for that first place prize.
Yeah, typically the bigger payouts, the less talk there is, with some exceptions of players who really embrace that spotlight in those spots.
Yes.
But with real life-changing money in play here at the Borgata, you've got to imagine that these guys are very locked in and in serious mode, and it seems to be the case. We will swap out the table shortly, as we said, in the near future, and see if the other table is a little more talkative, but can't blame them for being locked in.
Absolutely. Life-changing money indeed. We'll have Arun and Kane as our shorter stacks here. And we have Jason with 2.9 mil in the big blind here. Chip leading this feature table.
Uncle Ains in the chat says that he misses you. They're missing you on Warzone.
What's up, Ains? Yeah, I have a little bit of a gamer group back home, and I haven't been on in like a week, so they're all itching to play some video games, I guess. Yeah.
Okay, are you good?
I'm okay. Uncle Ains, on the other hand, he is a professional, skilled player.
Okay.
Yeah, so I'll be back on soon.
Do you stream that too, in addition to your poker playing?
I do sometimes, yes, I do. It's fun. I enjoy it. In another life, I was a gamer streamer and not a poker streamer.
Okay. And a basketball player way back in the day, right? You just do everything.
Yeah, and musician.
Oh my gosh.
My musician life I forgot about too. That's why I said I'll get a piano out and I'll, be the piano player for Kane and he can sing.
Basketball playing.
Don't you play the guitar?
Yeah, I play the guitar.
Okay.
That's true. We got a whole band
We have
here.
a band assembled. Let's do it. I do not sing.
Basketball playing, musician, Warzone streaming, poker player, commentator. My goodness, the resume runs deep.
Oh man. If only that stuff paid. I'd be rich. Yeah, I'll be home in a few days, Ains. Excited to get back in the video game streets. Oh, Black Ops. Yeah, Sammy, yes, I will be playing some zombies. Ains really wants me to play some zombies. A couple of reasonable hands here.
Reasonable enough to put it all in there as Arun. 7-7 moves in as a 3-bet.
And I imagine
14 bigs will put Luis in an interesting spot as it gets back to him, if it does so.
yeah, ranges do get, tighter, although in theory things might be a call. GTO might say things are a call, but ranges do shrink up in live poker versus, for example, online, and they are playing for a lot of money. You don't want to call here and be shown ace queen, ace jack. Puts in
Lets
the
it
fold.
go, understandably. About a third of his stack will pick a better spot.
Yeah. Every big blind matters here.
Current chip counts, Kane came into the day as the short stack with 15 bigs. He has picked his spot appropriately, gets every shove through, and sits on 12 now. Seems to win one, and then blinds come through over and over again. Jason has set himself up as the chip leader of this table with 2.8 million. Everyone else tucked comfortably in between. Some updated counts from Poker.org on their instant live feed. The two chip leaders, actually two chip leaders are at the other table. That's Frank Finaro in second place with 3.25 million. And Andrew Ostapchenko leads the way with 3.4 million. So Donovan Dean just below at 2.675 million. Those three absolute crushers in the tournament scene, and near the top of the counts, we're on top of them, and we'll see them once these tables switch.
I'm excited to watch those stacks battle, as none of those players are afraid. They go for it all the time, which is why they are here. And now Arun in the cutoff, King Jack of Hearts. He has a little less than 15 to 20 big blind stack-ish. Makes it 80,000. I like the raise here.
These suited Broadway cards play very well as an open, but if we get shoved on, they're not fantastic. Still, you can't open hands that you're going to be comfortable calling.
Exactly. You have to mix in some hands that raise fold. Obviously you're balancing out with hands like aces and kings.
Yep.
So it's a nice hand, and he just gets to pick up the pot. Nice hand there for Arun. Got several 3 million stack sizes, so a lot of room left, a lot of playability left, and a lot of really good players left in this tournament. Kane now with just over 11 big blinds.
From early position, this is on the cusp.
Very
Probably
cuspy.
a little weak. We'll see if Kane agrees.
I would imagine he may pick a better spot. However, shoves have been getting through.
He's happy to take the slightly
Yeah.
aggressive route.
Don't hate it. It's forcing hands better than him. A lot of them fold here.
I think it's close, and yet maybe he's identified that this table's a little tighter, so
Yeah.
maybe he can shove a little wider.
Yep. It is on the cusp, but he is opting for the aggressive route, which is not a bad idea, especially when nobody wants to bust, nobody wants to lose chips. There's a lot of middling stacks where 11 big blinds would be a big hit to their stack. Looks like, unless the big blind wakes up with the hand, he's going to get this through again.
Good timing here. Gets through, of course. We can get a hand like maybe King Jack to fold, of course, and then we're just, in great shape. But when we get called, we don't love it. But
Yeah.
maybe Kane, one of the most accomplished players at the table, right? Over 2 million in tournament earnings. Maybe he's quote unquote playing for the win a little more than some of the others at the table.
Yeah, and I think that's why he just shoves there. If he busts, he busts. If he gets called by a smaller pair, like hand like nines is probably calling. He's just flipping against them. And he's just willing to play for it all. He's been here before.
How do you feel about Kane just always wearing a leather jacket pretty much anytime you see him always?
It's nice to have a trademark. So.
I mean, you never have to think about what to wear, right? You're
it's
just
easy.
like, who's the guy? Steve Jobs, right? Wore the same thing every
I was
day.
just about to say, there's some merit in not giving yourself more decisions than you need to throughout a day. We did see Kane shove the ace-7 of clubs under the gun earlier on.
He's chipped up a little bit to where the open without shoving is now in the arsenal.
Yeah, don't hate it. It looks really strong for first fall, and you block some strong hands, of course. Suited ace.
It's really interesting that at 11.5 bigs, this might be a shove, and 14 is just enough to start opening, and that line is right there somewhere. This is where it is for Kane. Opens to
Exactly.
80K instead of shoving it all.
And I think, like you said, he has picked up a little bit that the table, we have seen some tighter folds. Like we've seen the queen 10 suited hit the muck. We've seen the king jack hit the muck. So could get this through. Joe on the button with jack deuce off, considering his options.
Right in an interesting spot. King jack suited facing an under the gun open.
Interesting spot indeed here for the king jack in the small blind.
Okay.
Almost feels too strong to fold. But from the, you hate just cold calling from the small blind. Always precarious and just lets it go. And I think that's going to carry us to a break, it looks like. Yep, these players will de-mic. Looks like they might be reshuffling. We'll find that out. But regardless, we are taking a 20-minute break or so in time for these players to move about. We're going to look at our chip counts. Jason Min on top at this table. King Cullis near at the bottom with 17 bigs. But we might have a fresh new set of counts for you when we get back with the other table rotating out. We'll find out. We're here in Atlantic City at the top of the MGM Tower. Excited to be with you. And when we come back, we will continue action here of the Borgata Poker Open Championship with 410,000 left to play for first place. We'll see you back here for continuing coverage of Day 3.
Oh, what's up? You watching the game? Or maybe the one later? Put a little BetMGM action on it, and now any game becomes the game. When you got overs and unders, you're in it every time they throw the ball, kick the ball, dribble the ball, and it's not even a ball. Who needs a ball? Now that bet's got you watching every inning, half, round, period, set, hole, a lap. Right from the edge of your seat. Oh, it's about to be a party in here. BetMGM's got all the sports betting in one place. And it's live, baby. Woo! We're placing money lines in real time. We got second half spreads and third set winners as they happen. Overs hitting in extra innings. Live is where the action is at. And with BetMGM, woo, I got the best seat in the house.
Tap into BetMGM Casino, and you're entering a huge library full of exclusive games. Games you won't find anywhere else. Looking for jackpots? Right this way. You'll always find someone ready to give you a hand. Or some dice. Your favorite game is waiting for you. On America's #1 online casino.
Oh, what's up? You watching the game? Or maybe the one later. Put a little BetMGM action on it now. Any game becomes the game. When you got overs and unders, you're in it every time they throw the ball, kick the ball, dribble the ball. Then it's not even a ball.
Who needs a ball?
Now that bet's got you watching every inning, half, round, period, set, hold, a lap. Right from the edge of your seat. Woo! Oh, it's about to be a party in here. BetMGM's got all the sports betting in one place. And it's live, baby. Ooh, we're placing money lines in real time. We got second half spreads and third set winners as they happen. Overs hitting in extra innings. Live is where the action is at. And with BetMGM, woo, I got the best seat in the house.
Tap into BetMGM Casino, and you're entering a huge library full of exclusive games. Games you won't find anywhere else. Looking for jackpots? Right this way. You'll always find someone ready to give you a hand. Or some dice. Your favorite game is waiting for you. On America's #1 online casino.
Oh, what's up? You watching the game? Or maybe the one later. Put a little BetMGM action on it now. Any game becomes the game. When you got overs and unders, you're in it every time they throw the ball, kick the ball, dribble the ball. Maybe it's not even a ball.
Who needs a ball?
Now that bet's got you watching every inning, half, round, period, set, hole, a lap. Right from the edge of your seat. Woo! Oh, it's about to be a party in here. BetMGM's got all the sports betting in one place. And it's live, baby. Woo! We're placing money lines in real time. We got second half spreads and third set winners as they Overs hitting in extra innings. Live is where the action is at. And with BetMGM, woo, I got the best seat in the house.
Tap into BetMGM Casino, and you're entering a huge library full of exclusive games. Games you won't find anywhere else. Looking for jackpots? Right this way. You'll always find someone ready to give you a hand. Or some dice. Your favorite game is waiting for you. On America's #1 online casino.
Oh, what's up? You watching the game? Or maybe the one later. Put a little BetMGM action on it, and now any game becomes the game. When you got overs and unders, you're in it every time they throw the ball, kick the ball, dribble the ball. Maybe it's not even a ball.
Who needs a ball?
Now that bet's got you watching every inning, half, round, period, set, hole, a lap. Right from the edge of your seat. Woo! It's about to be a party in here. BetMGM's got all the sports betting in one place. And it's live, baby. Ooh, we're placing money lines in real time. We got second half spreads and third set winners as they happen. overs hitting in extra innings, live is where the action is at. And with BetMGM, woo, I got the best seat in the house.
Tap into BetMGM Casino, and you're entering a huge library full of exclusive games. Games you won't find anywhere else. Looking for jackpots? Right this way. You'll always find someone ready to give you a hand. Or some dice. Your favorite game is waiting for you. On America's #1 online casino.
Oh, what's up? You watching the game? Or maybe the one later. Put a little BetMGM action on it now. Any game becomes the game. When you got overs and unders, you're in it every time they throw the ball.
We are back in Atlantic City, the Borgata Poker Open. Beautiful view here from up top of the MGM Tower. Zooming in, you'll see that we've switched tables. That side table came up to the feature stage, and here's your new players. Frank Finaro, Donovan Dean, Carlene Sued, Josh Kay, Michael Rizzuto, and Andrew Ostapchenko. What a lineup. A stacked table of tournament crushers have taken the stage, and Frank Finaro leads the pack with 4.21 million. Adel Joe there in seat 9 now. They've filled in that graphic. There we have our lineup on the feature table for the next couple of hours at minimum. Welcome back. I'm Terrence Reed. Ashley Frank alongside me momentarily, and we have perhaps a special guest in line for this to join us in the commentary booth in just a bit, so hang along.
Thank you.
Look forward to that, but meanwhile, I'm looking forward to seeing these guys play because they have a lot of success combined between them. Frank Finaro always performs so well here at Borgata. A fearless player, puts nonstop pressure on stacks, looking to get it all in anytime he can. Just continually makes deep runs. He's got $3.5 million in tournament earnings.
8 fold, 2 fold.
And he comes to this table with the chip lead. His biggest cash, Frank, that is, $613,000, won a WSOP bracelet this summer in the 10K 8-handed Super Turbo Bounty.
All right, heads up.
Big hands right off the bat. Carlene Sued opens up the ace-jack suited, or calls the ace-jack suited in the small blind after an open from the talented Michael Rizzuto. Neither of them hit the flop on the 10-3 deuce board. Ace high against ace high. See how Michael
90?
plays it.
I got a check and 90,000 is the bet.
That's Donovan Dean we're looking at. I don't believe he's in this pot, but while we're on him, that man is very talented player as well. He's got a couple. He won the WSOP circuit main event twice out in Cherokee, both in 2022 and 2024, and is having himself a series here at Borgata this time around. We did see a small bet from Michael Rosito, and Carlene made the call. Check, check on the 4 of spades turn, and both players make a straight on the 5 river. Carlene checks his straight over to Michael. Michael deciding if he can get any value of this river straight and decides to bet 2/3 pot, 360K. Interesting spot for Carlene. Holds an ace. If we're putting Michael on a hand from under the gun, holds very few 6s, but holds lots of aces.
1 million.
Interesting. This is what I thought might come. Trying to get an ace to fold. Kind of free rolling this hand on the river. If he can get Michael to fold a chop and take it all down, that's a huge win. Of course, Carlene much more likely to have a 6 than Michael under the gun. Love this play rather than just flipping in the chip and chopping the pot. Goes for it all. Puts nearly his entire stack in play. Those are time chips that Michael Rosito is tossing in there. Thinking it through. It's what happens when you go for value on the river. Sometimes good players will punish you when they identify that they can do so. But this time Michael finds the right call. Excellent play by Carlene. Love it. But excellent call by Michael as well. 2 good players battling for the pot. Ends in a chop this time.
Yeah, and kind of saying, hey, you can't have any 6s here or hardly any at all, so I'm going to put you to the test.
He said, interesting. That was interesting. These creative plays are the things you see from very strong players, especially when we're playing deep poker.
Yeah, he at least pay you back.
Wants his money back. He's a greedy guy. What's 25 bigs between friends?
30.
It's 30 now? Because of the water?
Took the water, 32.
Might be heading to a slightly more talkative table with this group. Andrew Ostapchenko, pocket 9s from under the gun, opens up. Our blinds have gone up. We're playing 25K, 50K now.
6 folds.
Just gets it through. Nothing for any of them to fight with. I just feel like I see Andrew Ostapchenko everywhere I go. Doesn't matter what the stop is, what the series is, what the buy-in is. He's there. It's like there's 6 of him and 1 of me. His name sounds like he's a hockey player. Andrew Ostapchenko for the St. Louis Blues. Just makes sense, but no, in this life, the man is a tournament crusher with over $3 million in earnings.
Sorry. I'm supposed to get my phone out.
Raise to 110, fold.
Don't snap it.
Hearts on hearts. Josh opens up the king-queen suited from the button, and Andrew, who we were just talking about, looks down at 9-7 suited himself from the big blind.
Raise to 380,000.
Andrew putting in the 3-bet here with the 9-7 suited. Unlucky for him is Josh has a well above average hand on the button here.
This is what we didn't see too much from the last table, is big stacks really putting the pressure on short stacks. Of course, there's more disparity now, so we see a greater difference in the big stacks and the short stacks. And Andrew really leaning on Josh early.
Yeah, and we did not see very many 3-bets, if any, out of the big blind on the other feature table. So I like to see Andrew, you know, putting in some 3-bets here. And interesting flop here, queen 10-9, 2 spades.
Both players flop a pair, but Andrew realizing that Josh just continuing pre-flop is a strong indicator of a real hand in a spot like this. Slows down with the check, and Josh will bet small. Offering a good price for Andrew's bottom pair, who will continue to see another card, the turn. Very interesting once more.
Yeah, queen 10-9, 2 spades, another board where there's not too many non-dynamic turns, unless, of course, it comes an absolute brick, like a 5 or less. So a king, you know, now any jack makes a straight. So while Josh has 2 pair, he still has to play this a little bit cautiously.
Checks it back to a safe 5. You have to think if Andrew 3-bet anything with a jack, and then this board came out, you imagine he's likely going to lean more towards betting than checking. So maybe Josh feels pretty good with his top 2 pair here.
It'll be interesting to see. Andrew does have showdown with his pair of 9s, however, likely not good.
Showdown after Josh bets the flop and then checks the turn. Likely a pair of 9s is no good. Andrew may be turning this into a bluff.
Spades does come through as well. This bet, almost half of Josh's stacked call. Top 2 here.
But how many spades are in Andrew's range as well if he just checked on the turn, on the flop after 3-betting from the big blind?
Yeah, I would assume Andrew would bet some of his flush draws on the flop. Not all the time, of course, but yeah, it does retain spades, jack. Yeah, I don't... This is a tough spot even for top 2 here as all draws come in, jack makes a straight, but you do have top 2.
Gotta think that Andrew could get any single pair to fold if his opponent had something like ace-queen. Bet the flop, check back the turn. That's the river. I'm not sure why. Not sure what Andrew's targeting, but it puts 2 pair in a tough spot even. So the fact that he's thinking about this.
Yeah. Andrew putting him in a tough spot. Andrew also with a big chip stack, capable player. Can't have bluffs here, of course. Josh trying to put this one together. Kind of Andrew taking his 1 pair holding, turning it into a bluff on the river.
Like we said, the main things we're afraid of is Josh, is a jack for a straight or spades. And if I were in Josh's spot, I'd have to go back to the flop check by Andrew and wonder how many of either of those hands. But regardless, Josh lays it down. Look at this aggression from Andrew paying off.
Wow, 6 spot. Just doesn't want to put half his stack in there. He's beat by all jack X and spades. Andrew with the bluff, with the worst hand, gets top 2 to fold.
I bet you if I ask Andrew what he thought his opponent had, he wasn't trying to get king-queen to fold. But if he can get a hand as strong as king-queen to fold, he would make that play all day long.
Yeah. Fold. 3 folds. 4 folds. 5 folds. 6 raises to 105. 5.
Action folds to Michael Rizzuto, who opens up the button with ace-10 off. Andrew Ostapchenko looks down at another hand, pocket pair, 4s. Comes with a call, and Adel Joe there in the big blind, king-9 off will call, and we'll go 3 ways to a pot.
2 players to the flop.
Jack 7-3, no one improves. Andrew's 4 is still good, hard to know, but action will check around. Or checks to Michael. Thought he tapped the table. There he does. Queen brings a gut shot for both Adele and Michael.
7 checks. 8 checks.
To Michael again, who has turned more equity. Queen's probably a good card for him as well in general.
185. That is 185,000.
Combine those two things and he takes a stab.
7 folds.
Yeah, I think if you're going to pick a hand to start betting, you got ace high, you got a gutter. He's probably going to get the job done unless Adele gets tricky here with his gutter.
I think Andrew's flat from the small blind is a lot of small to mid pocket pairs. You need those hands to fold. And gets it through. Well done. Delayed c-bet on the turn. Picked up a lot of equity. Took a stab, took it down. There's our updated stacks. As you can see, much bigger stacks in play at this table. Andrew Ostapchenko has 94 big blinds, 4.7 million. And our short stack, Carlene Sued, only has 27, so not that short, as opposed to the other table who had smaller big stacks, but smaller short stacks as well. So if we saw a lot of post-flop play at the other table, we're going to see even more on this one.
Yeah, going to be a lot of post-flop plays. They're so deep here, which is going to be really fun to watch.
3 raises to 100,000.
And open from Donovan Deed from under the gun, the queen jack off. 57 big blinds.
4 folds.
Gets a fold from
5
Carlene.
folds. 6 folds. 7 folds. 8 folds.
All the way around to a fan favorite, I would say, as long as you're not sitting at the table with him. Frank Finaro in the big blind with a suited 8-5.
Heads up.
Yeah, Frank probably wants to play a lot of pots and get in the mix, and 8-5 suited in the big blind is going to be one of those hands.
Check.
King deuce deuce.
That is 75,000.
Good board to continue as Donovan, and yet a strong player like Frank. It's always scary when the paired board is something like deuce 3, 4, 5, something that Frank can have more of, but doesn't choose to take the hyper-aggressive route this time, and Donovan will take it down.
Thank you.
As we were saying, kind of insane there, Donovan Deed. He won the WSOP circuit in Cherokee in both 2022 and 2024, the main event.
Wow.
It is historically the largest main event on the WSOP circuit, which you would think make it one of the hardest to win. And yet he's done it twice in 3 years.
That's impressive.
5, 6 folds. 7 folds.
I remember Poker.org, we interviewed him when he won the most recent one. How does he find such success in these big fields in the higher buy-in tournaments? And he says, I just don't care about the money as much. These guys do. So I'm gonna put pressure on you all day long.
That goes a long way. aggression wins in poker, especially players who maybe this is their deepest run they've ever had. Maybe the money means a ton to them, and that's going to affect their decision making. So that is a huge advantage if you don't quote unquote care about the money. Can just put maximum pressure at all times on your opponents.
A limped pot battle between the blinds. Frank Finaro, 10 deuce off, has nothing, whereas Donovan flops top pair. We'll start with a bet here on the flop.
Yeah, Frank and Donovan could get tangled up here a little bit, being bigger stacks, being deep stacked. But Frank knows that Donovan's very good, solid player. See how he chooses to pick his battles with having him on his left.
Having a bigger stack does help, but Donovan has still a large stack with 63 bigs. Don't want to get tangled too much, but there's no real either weak spots or super short stacks. Any pot where we're getting to the river all in is going to be a massive pot. So no real short stacks to pick on.
Yeah. And Frank's got it a little bit tough with having Donovan on his direct left there.
I'm good.
I really like Donovan's spot at the table, though. With Carlene and Josh, the two short stacks are the two players on his left. Should be a lot of spots in this configuration where he can get active and put pressure on,
Yeah,
especially when it folds to him.
Yeah, table draws and seat draws really are another one of those run good factors we've talked about, where you have to play good, run good, get things like good seat draws, table draws, good configurations for you to find ways to pick up chips.
Yeah, that's why he's
Especially being on the button,
do that.
you want to have players on your left who either are shorter or weaker, aren't going to be able to battle with you as much. Here we fold around to the small blind, and this particular hand
you forfeit all the chips.
is pretty trashy. You can actually end up raising it, but being a little bit deeper, he does elect to just try and limp and seal flop. Carlene, though,
Yeah, I would have called one.
7 deuce suited is going to raise it up in position. And Donovan going to go for the call raise and gets it done. That's another way to play the 6 deuce off. Instead of raising it as the bottom of your dusty hands, you're going to raise from the small blind. Why don't you just put in the call limp 3-bet?
We are seeing
some poker.
Why Donovan has such success. He is aggressive, and he's laying down the law early.
Kind of one of those spots, too, where the run good in the sense of Carlene had a dusty raise from the big blind with the 7 deuce suited. So gets it through, putting pressure with a hand that obviously plays itself in the sense of it's so bad. If you get shown aggression, you just get to muck it after putting in the 3-bet. So nice hand, Donovan.
Only back from break for 15, 20 minutes or so, and we've seen multiple interesting creative lines. I have a feeling we're going to see some really fun poker at this table.
Yeah, fun indeed. I was really looking forward to this this table, getting to see players like Frank, Donovan, Carlene, Josh, all these players really in the mix, and see them do some fun stuff and try to get in the minds of these players. And Josh is going to
rips the 8s from the big blind for 20, let's see, 20.
A little over 20.
23, 24, something like that.
Yeah, a little over 20 bigs, and exactly kind of why you want to shove the 8s there. Frank obviously not going to be calling with the Jack-10 off, but gets those hands that have a lot of equity against the pocket 8s, the overcards, to fold. So very nice hand to do that with the pocket 8s. You'll have a lot of fold equity as well, having over 20 big blinds.
Folds. 2 folds.
One of the best dealers in the house. He deals a lot of live streams across multiple different venues, Ginger in the box. Also a very accomplished player. He's made some deep runs down at the WSOP this summer, so He's good on both sides of the felt, and always happy to see him in the box, whether I'm playing, commentating, or or reporting. No matter what, he is one of the best. Trying to make out what Donovan's shirt there says. Open of Scots, but it's wrinkled and I can't read it. Oh, and now now I could read it easily, but our camera pulled off. We're gonna get a clear shot sooner or later. So our chip counts. Ostapchenko still on top by quite a bit at this point. Nearly 100 bigs for that man. Frank Finaro wearing a Lamborghini hat, opening up the pocket sixes. Do you have to own a Lambo to wear a Lamborghini hat?
I don't know, to be honest.
I'm not sure if he does, but he's got the
No,
hat
he
on.
probably does. Probably does have a Lambo. I can get intel on that later.
The Montreal Expos hat here. You haven't seen one of those in a long time.
Some fun hats at this table, actually.
They're like 2-2, something like that. Here's my chance.
I'm gonna switch you guys to box. You don't have to hear
Oof.
those stupid beep.
What
Thank
a
you.
beautiful bottom set for Frank.
How do you extract? King high board, 2 clubs.
Bet is 100,000.
Yeah, I like a small bet, 1/3 pot. This time was Michael's ace high, backdoor draws enough for him to stay around. I imagine if it's the ace of clubs instead of the 10 of clubs, that's a definite yes.
Confirmed. Frank does own a Lambo. I got intel.
Okay, he didn't seem like the type to be a poser.
Yeah, no. Oh my goodness. Yeah, this is a disastrous turn card for Michael. He thinks he just probably turned the best hand a lot of time and has the 10 of clubs still alive, though. Frank, set of sixes.
And yet on this particular board with both the ace and the king of clubs out there, Michael has a lot of flushes from the big blind. So Frank's not loving it, but he still has bottom set. We'll check back and see a river to evaluate the 4 of diamonds falls. How will Michael play it with top pair, seeing a check back on the turn? Does he go for some value, or does he try to get to a cheap showdown?
I think personally, with a player like Frank, always going to be checking back some of his showdown value hands. He also is more than capable to go for it. I might elect to check, but Michael goes for value, probably thinking he has best hand a ton of the time. So he would be correct about that most of the time, except Frank here has a set.
Yeah, with this sizing, 325, I could almost guarantee that this is a value bet from Michael. With a smaller sizing, he might be naming his own price, trying to get to a cheap showdown. This time he's probably trying to get called by a king. King, queen, king, jack, something like that. Worse aces, maybe.
Frank making the face like, maybe I could have got some value.
Yeah.
Putting in a little min click on the river or something. Michael, just unlucky turn card for him. Again, that's one of those things where you think you turned the best hand, but just run into it there.
Given it was a club, it did give him some opportunities to win on club rivers, but it would have been hard to get paid by a set if that was the case. And as it is, a nice pot shipping it over to the very dangerous Frank Finaro.
Who does indeed own a Lambo.
How many blinds was that? Paying my debt? Tight in my old days.
2-fold. Old age. 3-fold.
Apparently there's some unwritten scoreboard up here. Players keeping track of how much they owe each other, quote unquote, probably from previous hands played together. And you heard Frank saying tight in my old age. So yeah, just checking the turn and just calling the river. Could have gone aggressive in either spot, but I don't think he would have been paid that much more.
Yeah. You don't also want to put yourself in gross spots. You know, narrowing in on a final table.
Here we see something we didn't see at the other table much, just taking these mediocre hands and turning them into 3-bet bluffs. The king 10 off. 3 bets. Carlene with pocket 7s after opening up the hijack now faces this 3-bet from the button.
Yeah, sub 20 big blind stack now.
Love this.
Yep, I absolutely love that shove there. He knows Michael can be light. He didn't raise his pair of 7s to fold. I think that's the optimal way to play that hand right there.
No fear. Sometimes, yeah, they have it and you run into it, but he can pick up a lot of chips when they don't.
Yep. Really, really like that shove there by Carlene.
Frank, how much do you have down there? 4-5.
I think, as you just heard, as now 4.5 mil tied-ish for chip lead at this table.
3 folds. 4 folds. 5 folds. 6 raises and 5.
Rosito active at the table, opens up the ace-queen suited. Frank with 8-9-8 off in the big blind.
We're
going to see a flop.
Heads up.
Yeah, and Frank loves to play pots, loves to get in the mix post-flop as well.
A pair for both.
Indeed.
Top.
75,000 is the bet.
And Michael also with the backdoor spades.
A small bet of 1.5 big blinds. Frank had to expect that, or Michael had to expect that he'd be betting most flops. Frank, of course, with a pair, not going anywhere. Ten does bring a gutter for Frank, but on the dummy end of it. One of those where you're never too happy to hit a jack if it does get to that point, as your opponent can have so many kings. The dream card could be a nightmare.
Yeah, Frank's hand just kind of wants to get to showdown.
10 does connect a lot with hands that Frank would play, like 9-10, like 9-jack, queen-jack, 10-jack. Still, ace-queen deemed too strong to just check behind, being scared of monsters under the bed. We go for value.
Right, yeah. Betting when you have really good value hands is part of how we accumulate chips. Cannot always fear the monster on under the bed. You gotta extract value when you have strong hands.
All right, that's my time, guys.
Many people are afraid of getting raised, and that's why they hesitate to bet. How do we get over that? Like,
We get over that by realizing our opponents don't bluff raise that often. So, you know, and I've been told that so many times, like the amount of times you're realistically getting raised as a bluff is just not as frequently as it should be. So therefore, we can go for thinner value. And of course, a player like Frank is more than capable of pulling off bluffs in those spots. But realistically speaking, in a general player pool, players just are not bluffing enough, right? So therefore, that means we can just continue to extract value and pull mistakes from our opponents by them calling in those spots versus raising as bluffs.
I'm 5. It's just where it is. Oh.
8.
Okay, sorry.
All the way to the blinds between Finaro and Donovan once again. Instant replay of last orbit.
And another thing about the monsters under the bed is we have to think about our opponent's range, not just what's on the board and think, oh, my opponent might have this or might have that just because it's out there. You know, you got to think about the entirety of all the holdings they could have, which doesn't always connect with the board, right? So it's one of those things where, you know, you get bad beat enough or you just kind of think you're always beat, but you got to try to still think about your opponent's range.
Very hard to make a strong hand
Exactly.
in this game.
Hard to make a pair.
Hard to make
or
a
something
pair.
like that.
Phil Lock. Let's see that. One big blind bet from the small blind is a very popular move these days after limping in. If they don't have anything, they just kind of let it go.
Yeah, it's become a thing. Bet the one big blind. And of course, when you have two super wide ranges, that means that, you know, on most flops, your opponent's just going to whiff, theoretically. And so you just get to take it down very often.
Trying to remember who said very recently. It reminded me of a quote. It might have been Donovan D, but it may have been somebody else here at this series said, they keep telling me ace, king blocks aces and kings, but that has not been my recent history.
You know, I could sympathize with that because I've been shown aces and kings way too many times when I have ace king. So it can't possibly be true, that statement. Yeah, we talk about blockers all the time, but, you know, and then, you know, the other side of the coin is when your opponent shows a lot of strength, they just have it a lot, right? So blockers become...
They had, I think MSPT put out some merch that said blockers aren't real.
Right.
But it was, you know, the movement, birds aren't real.
Yeah.
You know this?
Yeah. The robot birds or
so
something?
insane, yes.
Yeah, it's crazy. There's a lot of conspiracy theories out there.
Let's see. We've got some questions in the chat. We'll address those. The other table is going. That's a side table right behind this camera view. We'll get shots of it now and then, but only one table at a time being featured. And then as far as that view in the back, we are here in Atlantic City. That is a view from the 32nd floor here at the MGM Tower and the overlook. That's the view the players have. That's not CGI. That is a live look at Atlantic City.
Yeah, no green screen here. We have the actual really nice view. And I believe we may have a special guest.
We do indeed. Special guest joining us in the booth, one and only BetMGM Poker brand ambassador. Look who it is, Darren Elias, in the booth with me and Ashley here. Hey, Darren, welcome. We're going to get you turned up here. Make sure you can hear us. There we go, and there we are.
Awesome. Hey,
all
happy
right.
to be here, guys.
I think we're live. Good to have you. I know that you being here must mean bad things happened in the high roller today, so sorry about that.
Hey, that's all right. That happens. Just happy to have these tournaments going and watch a little bit of this main event coming down the stretch.
Consummate professional, bust a couple bullets in 10K, and then hops up here to give the listeners some value. Appreciate that very much. We are here. There are 14 players remaining at this point here in the main event. What do you think about, Darren, being up here on the 32nd floor for the first time at Borgata, having to overlook at Atlantic City? Isn't that incredible?
Awesome. Unbelievable space. To be able to play poker somewhere like that, the floor-to-ceiling windows, natural light, I think is a real treat. I hope we get to use this space more in the future. I think it's amazing.
9. You love your 9.
You have been very active here with BetMGM Poker, just earning your ambassador role for sure. I see articles from you. I see interviews. I see social media posts. You are everywhere. You enjoying that partnership together?
Yeah. It's been nice to interact and try to grow the game as much as I can through BetMGM and Borgata, and happy to contribute anything I can. Try to bring new players to the game, not just high-level strategy, but beginner stuff too, and try to get more people in here.
That's very cool. Your contributions are not unnoticed.
You also made a deep run in the main yourself, if I'm not mistaken.
Yeah, I got about 50th and played with a couple of these guys at the table here. Andrew, I see Andrew, how do you say that?
Ostapchenko.
Ostapchenko, still doing well, has a lot of chips. And played with a couple other of these guys and some pretty well-known players, I'd say, for 13 players left in the main event or 14 players wherever we're at.
A lot of tournament success. Frank Finaro's here, Donovan Deed here. We just talked about over the last 3 years, he's won 2 WSOP circuits out in Cherokee. Carlene Sweat has had a great series. Michael Rizito, Andrew Ostapchenko, Adele Joe. Lots of first place finishes spread around the table. Almost everyone has over $1 million in earnings on Hendon Mob, just tournament crushers left and right. And we've seen that through some very interesting, creative play at this table. People fighting and battling for pots.
Yep. I've played with most of these guys, and especially Andrew. I would say with him, you're probably going to see some unorthodox stuff and willing to push the envelope and really put people to the test, which is fun to watch.
Well, another successful series here at Borgata. We are on the penultimate day here. We've got today closing up day 3. We'll play down to a final table is the goal. Tomorrow is day 4, the final day of the series and of this event. We'll have the high roller closing it out tomorrow as well as this main event. Any further action for you? Any other plans for this week? What's your schedule like?
No, that's a wrap for me poker-wise. We're going to be in the booth tonight and then headed back home tomorrow, hang with the family, and that's a wrap for me.
How's the family doing these days?
Amazing, really good. Starting school, and it's good. It's really good.
Doing it.
Cold.
I'm freezing.
My hands are cold.
We turn the heat on. Let's relax.
Ace queen off here on the button for Josh. 30 blinds.
Are playing the 25K, 50K level. Pretty deep stacks here. Andrew is the big stack at the table with nearly 100 big blinds, but the shortest stack is somewhere around 27, so quite deep at this point. More chips on this table than the other that was playing here before break.
360.
Michael here thinking, yeah, I was going to say we probably won't see him call this hand very often, but may choose to 3-bet sometimes, and I would suspect this will not get through.
Block some strong hands with the ace, get some better aces to fold, like the ace-9s, ace-8s, ace-10s maybe. But in this particular case, we're looking at a premium. How do you like it from Josh? You like the 4-bet jam?
Yeah, I think so. I think obviously we could call 2 as well, but you do let him realize some equity, and he's going to have some hands you wouldn't want to be up against, seeing post-flop 9-10 suited, Jack-10 suited, that kind of thing. You would rather just have him fold and not go to the flop.
That's the second time in an orbit that Rizito has taken a mediocre hand like that and turned it into a 3-bet bluff, and the second time he's been punished by a 4-bet jam.
Okay.
So we'll see how he reacts, if he continues to put the aggression or if he's tired of getting put into these spots because he now finds himself as the table short stack.
Great to see these deep stacks too. Speaks to the structure. I know on day 3 this went to 90-minute levels and 8-handed play, which I think is awesome in these main events to give players a chance to showcase deeper stack play, more advanced strategy. I love that.
We were talking before the break about how I personally like to give credit where credit's due for tournament organizers, directors, poker room managers who go above and beyond. They don't just put out a schedule and, trust that the players will show up. So the combination of these excellent structures, the 90-minute levels, the 8-handed play, the feature tables that they're investing in here, as well as hosting it here on the 32nd floor with a view of the Atlantic, credit where credit's due. It's a special place to play poker.
Yeah, big shout out to Kelly, the Borgata staff, dealers, everyone doing a great job here. And it's great to be back in the event center, too, where we used to play all these tournaments years ago. And to be back and now have this new space is really exciting.
It gave me kind of vibes of like walking to the Paris at the WSOP, the giant space where everything's sprawled open. You can see everybody.
Mm-hmm.
I know that might be a little exaggerative because that's a massive space, but everything's there. We've sometimes had 6 events running at a time. Just a massive open space with a streaming area in the corner. I hope we get to come back year after year for the combination of the event center.
It's pretty cool, right? Action everywhere. Andrew turning trips here after flatting from the small blind insta-check. And, wow, everyone proceeding pretty cautiously here, checking around. Is it Adele? Is that what we say? Adele with
Joe.
top pair.
I wrote an article when he took down an event down at the Moneymaker Tour in Florida, and I got in a lot of Adele references. I'm not sure if he saw it or appreciated it. Something for everyone on the turn turns into just the Queen of Clubs flush for Andrew. So trips turn into a flush. blocking a lot of potential full houses, especially after action has been so conservative. Got to feel good about his second nut flush here.
Yeah, comes out about 2/3 pot there. We'll see if anyone wants to get creative here, but I can't see a ton of money going into this pot now.
Especially caught in the middle between two players.
What?
The new chip later in town.
Yeah.
Bill using a time chip to think things over.
I mean, mashing over there, the way that it's distributed.
Yeah, you should be crushing.
I think Dell's more likely to be considering a call with top pair, no club, or turning his hand into a bluff.
I would say almost certainly just calling, and I think he will end up folding here, but speaks to just respecting Andrew's reputation of being capable, because this would be quite a hero call there with top pair.
Yeah, we've definitely seen Andrew get capable earlier. He pulled off a bluff where he got top 2 to fold. So he's definitely capable. So I think that's why these players are contemplating.
And look at that, the ace high call.
Wow.
That speaks to exactly what you're talking about. I think he got that call for the same reason you just said, Aaron. An ace high on a 4 flush board, knows he's beating all nothings, and goes with his heart and puts in the call. Looks like a genius on stream when it works. Not this time, though.
Yeah, not that time.
The Zito trending downwards. Is our short stack now less than $1 million in play? This is our final level of play tonight before our dinner break, but we are streaming all the way down to a final table. However long that takes is the plan.
Yeah, I think they said we're playing down to 6 tonight, and happy to have all you guys watching here. This could be a long night with the blind levels and the structure as is. These guys still sitting pretty deep stacked, so buckle up.
Confirmed from Poker.org updates on the floor from the side table that we have lost in 15th place. Joe Gosweiler was the next person eliminated. We are down to 14. Joe takes home $22,133. No pay jumps for a bit. 15th, 14th, 13th, and 12th all take home the same amount. So no pay jumps immediately in play, but everyone has their eyes on the $408,000 up top. Get to a spot like this deep in an MTT, Darren, obviously you've played with a lot of these guys. How much are we thinking about kind of who this money matters to more and adjusting that play? The players who maybe don't have a lot of experience, are we targeting them more?
Yeah, I think it really depends on the player. In these main events, you do get a lot of players where the money matters. Or
relatively fair.
They're not
in a little bit more.
They're not in these spots too often, so that they might play a little tighter than they should, or you get players that go the other way too and kind of lose their minds and play loose crazy in these big spots. But I think at this particular table, looking at this field, most of these guys have a lot of experience in similar spots. So I think I don't want to say normal play, but I don't think you'll see people playing too scared or too out of line.
Not a lot of exploits, respect for each other's game.
We'll see here, Donovan.
Yeah.
Donovan going to give up there with the nut low.
The check.
On the board.
I'll give you a chance.
Yeah, I'm running. I said there's 3 off. That was your best chance, was to bet. I mean, to play like you did. Let me bet. Never seen any hope.
11.
So never saw any hope with that one.
No. Good.
There's our chip count, as we were saying. Osepchenko on top with
Gorgeous.
nearly 100 big blinds, and Rosito has fallen
Queen
to our
deuce,
short stack. Everyone else tucked in between.
It's greedy.
Josh under the gun with ace king. I think he opened. We lost him, but I think he'll be back.
I'd imagine that's an open. Production probably catching up here. Not an easy job on production crew to get every single one of these actions correct. Shout out to them. Not only that, but moving it from the event center up here upstairs pretty much overnight, building an entire set for our pleasure. Reset does show he opened to 110 from under the gun. Folds all the way around to Carlene, who would defend the big blind with a suited 3-5 and flop a gut shot.
Yeah, we'll be interested to see how Josh proceeds here, and Carlin with his gut shot.
He bets, keeps control of the pot, 125. %35 or so, keeps control, but Carlene not just going to give up easy. Does proceed with a call.
He does stick around, and this is a card that definitely favors Josh. Would love to see him keep applying the pressure here with the gut shot, his hand interacting too, where he's going to have some king queens, some ace queens that Carlene probably won't show up with too much from the big blind. So we'll see if Josh can identify this, and otherwise I think he's going to have a hard time on this river.
Yeah, the queen's such a good barreling card here for the
There we
ace
go.
king, exactly, and he does
Well done.
get it through.
He agrees.
Is that a Montreal Expos hat?
Yeah.
Just haven't seen one of those in a long time.
Yeah, vintage Pedro Martinez, I remember. Maybe dates me a little bit, but.
One of us is off the end.
Josh and Carlene, I believe both Florida guys.
Big blind.
I want to say Josh for
Should we do
sure.
the same?
Not certain about Carlene. Just reported on him. He placed third in the Almighty Million just a few days ago as well.
Yeah, for a six-figure score.
Oh, nice.
Yep.
Him having a great series.
Yeah.
Are we drawing or is it big blind?
We're not creating the table.
Okay.
We're creating.
So much playability left for these
Right,
players.
one more.
Such a
In front
good
of there.
structure. I'm drooling over here at how good the structure is. And these players so good at deep stack poker. So much playability. And as you can see here, $410,000 up top. And these players are fighting for it all.
And you're right, Darren shouldn't have doubted you. Carlene down from Pembroke Pines, Florida. Absolutely
Yeah, I think I had heard part of that Florida crew. Ashley, were you able to play this event, or how was your Borgata series that you?
Not. I played a total of 3 hands in the Almighty Stack. Had a fun bust out hand I posted on my Instagram. And then didn't play this one, but I was really looking forward to commentating. So in the booth and get to watch these guys go to work.
Yep.
I think she felt similarly to me, knowing that we had to be here commentating, so we couldn't play.
Yeah.
Just watching such a great tournament from the sidelines.
Just vicariously living through all these guys.
Yeah,
Still
right.
in, again, just the structure, an hour-and-a-half levels, an average stack, 50 big blinds. Like, it just doesn't get much better than that.
Yeah, you gotta love it, and anything that gives the best players the best chance of winning, I really like to watch. Which I think structures like this really showcases the skill element more than having these 10 or 15 big blind pre-flop all in. So I love to see it as well.
Exactly. You just get to find your edge in these tournaments as the cream rises to the top, as they say, right? So.
As I say.
Even as a commentator, like we were together for the Almighty Millions, and great tournament, turned $500 into hundreds of thousands, but towards the end, it kind of gets a little boring on the final table with every pot being an all-in pre-flop. Still very skill-based, knowing those ranges, knowing what you're supposed to put 12 big blinds in with as well, but seeing players go to battle with 90-plus big blinds with 14 players left is something you just don't see very often.
Yeah, and it's no, no fluke that players like Frank Fernaro and all these guys are still in. They're just really skilled players, and they've been able to use their, take their edges here.
Players or the chat asking about the other table. If you are interested in what's happening at that side feature, we don't have cameras or streaming there, but Poker.org is providing updates from the floor on their instant live feed. Just head to poker.org and click on Borgata Poker Open.
Yeah, poker.org been here the whole series, I think, doing a great job providing hand histories, photos, updates, payouts.
Yeah, they've really been on top of all of it, which makes it fun to follow along.
Mike limping in here. We're playing about 18 effective, looks like. Andrew going to check back 10-9. A little too good to turn into a pure steal. Wants to see the flop. And we should see some action here. Let's see where Michael with a quick check.
A little piece for both. Top pair for Michael. The ever-aggressive and big-stacked Andrew Ostapchenko has a gutter ball.
And we'll get to see what Michael's plan here is, if he's looking to check raise right away here or just call and see how he's going to proceed.
Got to think a hand as strong as top pair. Blind versus blind is a monster. Feels great about it. Just deciding how he gets all the chips or how to keep Andrew's bluffs in.
Yep, I like the call. I think he goes call and for a pretty good turn for him.
Ask the other floor where he's at. Ask the ball floor.
You're Andrew, and you get called by Michael here. How much are we thinking about? How many pairs are in his range versus draws?
Over here.
Probably mostly pairs, I would
Some
imagine.
pretty dead cards over here.
Yeah, I think Andrew has a good read on this situation, and in some spots playing deeper, Michael's going to have a lot of ace-high type hands as well. But at 18 blinds, a lot of those will be all in pre-flop or have done something different pre-flop. So assuming he might be betting out on the flop more often with some of those straight draws and check calling more with the pairs, I think this is a pretty good shutdown from Andrew. Pretty sharp.
Yeah, when the board pairs on the turn, it's just harder to shake ace highs even and pairs. So he's knows where he's at in the hand, and see how he proceeds here on the river.
Love the check from Michael, though. Check flop, check turn, check river. Knows the only way that Andrew's going to put more chips in with the worst hand is a bluff.
And Andrew, one of those players, he will grab chips, he will cut out bets and then not bet. I noticed playing with him, and I think trying to, as you saw him there kind of sneaking a glance over at Mike while he was grabbing the chips, trying to get a read on the other player. I love that. Kind of an old school move.
Yeah, small things. Just because mostly when people reach for chips, they're putting out a bet.
Also, Andrew, one of those players who's always going to try and find a way to win the hand. So he's creative. He loves to just try and steal pots. So he's very capable, but a good shutdown there by Andrew.
Really impressive. Earlier, she talked about it. We saw him get the two pair to fold in a spot that, four-liner to a straight. Everything was out there, and he just turns bottom pair into a massive bluff in a huge spot. And then here, with no showdown value, identifies the situation correctly and checks behind. So it's not always just blind hyper-aggression. It's identifying the spot, identifying the player.
Yeah, especially blind versus blind with a paired board out there. You just got to figure your opponent is more pair-heavy there. It's harder to get hands to fold that are pairs because you're blind versus blind and, ranges are as they are. So.
Yeah, and you have to be aware if you are going to play a style and have a reputation like that, the players are going to try to trap you. So you have to be able to hit the brakes. And a good example there of knowing when to shut it down, because that was absolutely getting snapped off on the river.
That's a great point there, is your image as well being a factor.
Mike here with 10-8 off, 20 effective, opens a button. And Adele flops open-ended here with a, open-ended with a flush draw. So we'll see some fireworks here.
Massive flop you see with 4 high. It's a coin flip. Adele actually the slight favorite.
And both players around 20 bigs.
Ashley, as a player here, let's say you get all in on the flop. Do you have a preference? Do you rather the big draw or the top pair type hand? You feel better holding, or you want the draw?
It's so tough because that's a tough one. I think I wouldn't know that I'm up against an open ender and the flush draw, so I think I'd take my top pair against the draw. But in this case, Adele actually a slight favorite.
Yeah, this is going in, and we're gonna have a flip for 2 million chips.
Yeah, you can never fold this straw here. Here we go. I think this is our first, one of our first all in and
Really?
calls in 2 tables. So here we go. Basically a flip for 2.1 million chips.
Adele slightly covering, but only would be left with 2 big blinds. More outs
More
on the
Picks
4.
up a couple more.
A big river incoming.
Ooh, and he hits it.
The 6 completes the straight for Adele, and that will do it for Michael Rizzuto.
It's close. Not to count it.
Assuming our counts are correct, that will be his last hand. Another deep run for him, but can't hold in the biggest spot, and he is already on his way out the door.
Yep.
Very painful there to just lose that flip. You got to call off with your pair. You're all in. And unfortunate for him.
Yeah, he's got it.
Not much went right for Michael Rizzuto at this table, and he will head out the door, likely frustrated.
It was free $10.
Yeah, I know you had said it wasn't going his way. He had a couple 3-bets that didn't work. That Queen 5 trap didn't work out, and then loses the flip there. That's momentum in tournament poker, where sometimes it goes against you like that, and in a high equity spot like this, 2 tables left, that's got to sting.
Yeah, sting indeed. And now our shortest stack now is Carlene. 21 big blinds, still a ton of playability. As you see, we have 2 stacks at over 90 big blinds. So a lot of poker left to be played here.
I folded under the gun.
Reports from the side table. In 14th place, Kane Collis was eliminated.
Oh,
in,
Kane Collis.
In 13th place, Jason Min was eliminated.
Too many outs.
Which means, assuming our information is correct, that gives 12th place to Michael Rizzuto, all of which got paid the same, just over $22,000. And we now find ourselves bumped up to the next payout.
In this stage of the tournament, always interesting where you get to play short-handed for a lot of money with different stacks. So this table now playing 5-handed poker and very deep stacks. So this will be interesting.
Yeah, and I have a feeling we're going to see some battling. Frank's been a little bit quiet.
Yeah, I think Frank, you're going to see a little different style than someone like Andrew, where he's aware of the value of his stack and probably playing a lot with Frank online and live as well. I think he's going to avoid big pots with the other big stacks when possible.
That's a great point, because I kind of saw that a little bit earlier, where he could have taken aggressive action against another big stack, but chose to play it a little bit passively. So that could be, a little bit of his strategy, like you said, moving forward.
As we said, with the elimination of Michael Rizzuto, the next person eliminated takes just over $27,000. That's the case for both 11th and 10th place.
Both players turning second pair with a flush draw here, so I don't think we're going to see Frank get away from this one. Looking off to the side here, maybe some other table action. Diamond gets there.
Just what Adele was hoping to see, not Frank, maybe.
Wow, and he goes for the check raise here, we would think. And we'll see if Frank falls into the trap. I'd say this 10 of diamonds probably worthy of going for some value on the river.
Yeah, Frank probably thinking that 10 of diamonds is good for value here. Maybe he can get heroed by some ace-x hands.
Relatively small amount of chips in the pot, only 6 big blinds, so yes, goes for value, that's 175.
Very
Oh, he just calls.
Oh, he just calls.
I think we're going to see a correction.
No,
for
I think that's a
very quick
it was
raise.
very quick.
So timing tell there maybe a little bit.
And a min raise.
Yeah. Here in Frank's spot, how much are we reading into the timing and the sizing? Just a min click, very fast.
I'm just puking.
As you hear him thinking about it, the sizing would be a lot more concerning to me than the timing.
Okay.
So these spots are interesting because you don't really think the check min raise river is a bluff.
Okay.
It's not usually a bluff, but you're also getting laid this very good price where he's calling 175 into 800. So you need it to be a bluff something around 1 in 5 or.
I'm gonna use it.
That was a time chip, I believe.
Yes. When's the last time you saw somebody pull a check raise river bluff with nothing?
So ambitious.
Ever?
I've seen it on live streams maybe once, but incredibly rare, and usually not instant.
Yeah, and a check raise river min click bluff at that.
It's just so sick because of the price. Like you quote unquote know you're behind.
Okay.
But it's like, how do I fold to a min? And he makes a disciplined fold. I mean, you're just
good fold there from Frank.
Yeah, great fold. Very disciplined.
It's one of those where you wonder, like, am I more likely to be called if I bet bigger? Does it look more like a bluff if I bet bigger?
Yeah, I think he's more inclined to be called if he makes it a little bit bigger than a min click there.
But then you go down the rabbit hole. So should I be check min raise bluffing now?
Yeah. Right, exactly.
It all kind of meets in a full circle.
Exactly.
You heard Frank say it's one of the weirdest hands of poker I've ever played.
Wow.
Very somewhat inconsequential, 7 big blind in the pot, and he's over here overthinking it for sure.
Yeah, that's a bold
An
statement.
extension of that. I mean, we get more. You get 8 at 9, so it's like whatever. Yeah. It's like, I don't know.
Frank Finaro, one of the players who participated in our high stakes game earlier in the week. That was $10,000 buy-in, and saw some big pots there. So I'm glad to see him still in action.
Yeah, I heard he got into some big spots in that.
Yeah, I think he chopped a really big one, and one of those crazy double board bomb pots.
Oh yeah, we play those a lot in Texas, where I'm from. Those get you in trouble.
I would say we'll never see like a bracelet event of those, but we just did this past summer. Right? They added a double board bomb pot in the schedule. They're that popular these days.
2 reasonable hands here, the small and the big blind. Frank gonna raise it up in the small with the king jack offsuits. Donovan makes the call on the big with the 10-9 suited, so we had to see 3 cards. Frank flopping the best of it, and Donovan with not much except a backdoor flush draw and a bad end of a gutter. Gonna fold. Frank picks it up.
Frank Finaro, confirmed Lamborghini owner.
Did you knock Sam out? You knocked out Sam?
Yes, confirmed.
The hat is not a bluff?
It is not a bluff or a pose.
I don't have a bio sheet in front of me, but I feel like Frank's still in his 20s. Definitely on the younger side, probably mid-20s, late 20s.
I'd buy that. If I had to guess, I'd put him at 28. Take the over-under.
How about you?
That's a good line.
28 and a half, just so there's no pushes.
I'll go over, but
it's got to be close.
I have my head. He's 29. I'm not sure.
Yeah.
Have you you played with his brother as well?
You actually played with him in this event. Yeah. I think he's 22, so they are young, up-and-coming players from Jersey.
Very cool. I know his brother won a big event last year here, or not last year, during this previous Poker Open, I think the Spring Poker Open, and his brother was there on the rail watching him downstairs in the live stream. So 2 of them, a power sibling couple.
Interesting here where Adele opening King Jack and Donovan taking a close 3-bet spot in the small blind, which kind of denies Carlene his shove here, where he has to get off it. Otherwise, I think this would have been a fairly easy reshove versus the cutoff open.
Very similar spot that we saw Michael Rizzuto take momentarily ago with the A7.
except cutoff instead of button, but similar. And Adele in one of those spots where you have to tread this fine line between battling and playing these big 3-bet pots in position with marginal hands and just raise folding away your stack, where if people are going to be taking these kind of spots with ace-x offsuit, small blind here, you're going to have to battle a little bit, and would love to see him continue here, but certainly towards the bottom of his continue range.
Exactly, yeah. You've got to really pick your spots, and you can get yourself into trouble with a hand like King Jack, but you also don't want to fold and leave yourself so vulnerable to just over-folding in these spots, and he does let it go.
Yep, that's a close one there.
Very close indeed.
Playing 48 bigs effective, is a 4-bet ever thought about in a spot like that, or is that slightly too risky?
I think at these depths, if I was going to continue, it would be mostly in the form of call. I don't think King Jack offsuit would be the one. There certainly could be some hands light 4-bets, but I don't think King Jack would be in there.
With our current stacks, 99 bigs for Ostapchenko, Carlin Sued down to 19. A lot of chips at this table.
Always
though.
good
Look
when
at
you
these.
see a guy with 100 bigs deep in the tournament like that.
So sick.
A real hand for Carlin in the small blind opens up, or wakes up with jacks.
20 effective, and I think he limped.
Works that way.
And we saw Andrew check back the 9-10. This 9-5 offsuit, a little weaker, one you'd probably see him raise more often, but he does check, and Andrew's spidey sense is on so far.
Another player tries to trap Andrew. Queen 8-8, no improvement for Ostapchenko. Carlin comfortably sits with jacks. Sees a check back from behind. Ace of spades, aces often scare cards, but in this particular configuration with this action, probably doesn't hit either player too often.
Yeah, and Carlin, although this board looks terrible for pocket jacks, not too concerned here, and probably feels very comfortable he has the best hand, and his choice here on the river, this going down this line, your opponent will frequently have nothing. So do you want to check and try to trap a bet on the river from a 7-high, 6-high, 10-high type of hand, or do you go for some value? And Andrew hitting this 9 will be interesting. I don't think he's going to get away, and Carlin wins a couple big blinds.
Oops, sorry.
Waited until Andrew hit the only value he was going to hit on the river, and then got one big blind at him. That's squeezing some juice from the orange there.
Yeah, targeting some king highs too. I think he's going to find a little bit of value and calls from Andrew's king highs on the river as well.
Probably got one big blind more than most people would have in that pot.
He's got the champion hoodie on again. Saw that in the almighty stack.
I think it might be the only hoodie he owns. It's the only thing I've seen him wearing this entire series.
So he made a final table earlier, same hoodie.
Yep. Same hoodie. Is probably got it. Maybe some superstition going on.
Gotta be.
I was going to ask, do either of you have any poker superstitions, or do you just, no shame here?
It's less of superstition. It's more of doing things that make me feel good and ready to play, like working out before playing or eating healthy, and so those things, but not superstitious. Really.
Okay. I'm not too superstitious either. Maybe the one I will use in a tournament is I usually won't shave my face in a multi-day tournament where if it's going well, or I usually won't change that. But besides that, I'm not too superstitious. I eat at the same places, but I probably do that anyway.
That's just more routine.
Yeah, exactly.
We're creatures of habit.
I do agree that being in your comfort zone, not having any outside thoughts about like, oh, I didn't eat this morning. No, I'm hungry. If you're distracted or thinking about other things at the table, you're setting yourself up to not perform your best, right?
Exactly.
But if we keep that same routine, we work out, we eat the same thing for breakfast or whatever, we don't shave our beard. There's a fine line between superstition.
I shave mine.
Okay. Yeah. But between superstition and comfortability and feeling confident, yeah.
Absolutely.
Adele
it goes
here
so
with
far.
the same hand, the 4 deuce of clubs in the big blind. See if he can get another piece.
apiece indeed, but a smaller one than the top pair of Frank Finaro. Something for both. Short-handed, of course, under the gun is the same as the hijack, so doesn't necessarily mean as tight of a range in as a full ring game would be.
Frank proceeds here about third pot, looks like, and Adele probably going to stick around and see one more.
Yeah, a little over a big blind keeps a lot of Adele's worse hands in, and he's going to have to call with just his pair here.
And I think we'll see Frank pot control and check back a lot of different turns, just because his hand not really going to go for 3 streets on a lot of lines and a lot of runouts, and also with his style, I think he's going to check back here at a high frequency and also try to catch some bluffs from diamond type hands, and we'll see here. The jack, maybe not one of those ones, but will be interesting to see how he proceeds here.
Does go for some value on this particular card. When Adele calls the flop, we're looking at pairs and flush draws, right? And so betting here might get some value from those and some protection.
Yeah, and you can also bluff catch rivers as Frank now, or check back some rivers too.
Yeah, and the jack specifically, when Frank has that 10 in his hand, it does have some interaction where if he wants to be bluffing with hands like 9-10 and King-10, it makes a lot of sense to value bet the Queen-10. So I think that jack playing a big part there.
He did use a big sizing. He bet 350 on that pot. Nearly a pot-sized bet. Really like that. Especially if he's going to be doing so, like you said, with the ace-kings, ace-tens, king-tens, 9-10s, that sort of thing. Things have gotten fairly quiet short-handed as the sun sets in the background here in Atlantic City. We are approaching our next break, which will be dinner break. It's going to be a 1-hour scheduled break unless something changes. But fear not, even when we reach it, we are going to be streaming down to our final, at least the final table, perhaps the final 6 tonight. So dinner break does not mean the end of the stream, and we're happy you're here with us.
Of course, and our high roller players will be adjourning for the day to enjoy their wine pairings, I believe, at 9 p.m. So
speaking of cool things that poker operators do, how cool is that? Free stay here at Borgata, wine pairings, food, massage.
A lot of perks.
I would definitely be back here. That's for sure.
We've got
ooh, 2 big hands.
Yeah, ace queen versus ace king here, and with Carlene only on about 20 blinds, we could see the chips go in the middle here. Taking a quick look at Andrew here, who folded the button.
Action is on our small blind just to Andrew's left with ace queen off. Adele Joe's in the tank. We'll get there.
Would be a very reasonable 3-bet and then call all in from Adele if he does decide to go down that route, with Carlene just playing around 1 million chips.
Yeah, and now Carlene will be super happy to just get it in here and get called by a hand like ace queen.
Yep.
He does quickly move
Very
it in.
quick, yeah.
Predicted correctly. All the chips in play. Carlene at risk, but with a better hand, it's ace-king versus ace-queen.
Yeah, and if you're Adele, you just hate to see the ace-king. You're hoping he has jacks, 10s, but here we go.
Ace-king is covered.
See all 5 cards.
A king-high flop, very safe. Those spades are working with the ace of spades in Adele's hand. And that will do it. 3 of spades, inconsequential. Carlene with the champion across the hoodie.
The hoodie's still holding.
Stays alive and finds the double.
Running pure, running good here at this Borgata Poker Open Series.
Got a couple fans in the chat for him who would love to see that.
Yeah, give us a shout in the chat who you're rooting for, where you're watching from. Would love to hear.
Shout out to Jay Seppi. He said, I've been watching Darren since I was in high school back in 2004.
Wow.
He's currently grinding BetMGM Micro MT&T online. This is awesome. Get the full experience
Good luck
there.
That's cool.
I ain't had nothing, man. I keep looking at Jack Deuce off every hand.
2004. I was a junior in high school.
Oh, boy.
I wasn't quite watching poker.
don't
Wow,
wanna
you've been
play
playing that.
Yeah, I was a junior in high school too. I was just playing early. I was like 16.
I was
17.
not. I got a late start in life, poker.
And we've got a one Jose Sweat in the chat says, let's go. I imagine he's probably related to Carlene with the last name there. So shout out to family supporting the man.
Carlene having an amazing series.
You got like average.
Played
now,
against
right?
him
You have, like,
probably the
average
most
now,
out of anyone I've seen on these featured tables. I've seen him in Vegas and Texas, and he's always in the mix.
Darren, this is Ash's first time on the East Coast for poker.
Okay.
Yeah.
First time in the Borgata?
First time.
Yeah.
Yeah, it's been awesome. I'll definitely be back. Yeah, I've been wanting a reason to make it out to the East Coast, so it's cool. Finally here.
And you're mostly based out of Texas? I would guess?
Nowadays, yeah. I'm from Arizona, but
Okay.
yeah, Texas is great for poker.
Yeah, great new market there. I'm happy to see things, action down there.
That thing started off in Talking Stick. Is your home, right, or am I wrong?
Talking Stick was one of the main casinos in Arizona. Yeah, but mine, I had a Wild Horse Pass was like my home casino.
Okay.
It was more homey vibe than Talking Stick,
Yeah.
and I found my home there at Lone Butte and Wild Horse Pass Casino there. So I still go back there and do meetup games and stuff.
Oh, where the
Yeah.
vlog started, where it all
Oh,
started.
where it
right?
started, yeah. May have gotten in trouble filming at Talking Stick a few times.
Frank here stabbed the flop. I think this will be a wrap on the turn here. He's just holding 8 high.
Winner.
And a winner.
Good one? Oh, wow.
It's big, ain't it?
Donovan here sporting an MRI T-shirt. Do we know anything about his background? Is he in the medical field?
That's what I was trying to figure out. Not that I'm aware of, but we don't have bio sheets, so we get those at the final table. So I'm fairly certain that Donovan is playing full time these days, but I may be wrong.
I'm always curious when I see the what they're wearing and what they're. Some of these guys obviously not full-time players. Some are, and interesting to see.
I mean, he's got results to suggest that he does this full time. Just multiple cashes every single month.
This one be.
Including that $326,000 cash from August by taking home the
last month. Okay,
yeah, at a Cherokee just recently.
Wow, good. Coming off a big win, and I always find that interesting too. Momentum in tournament poker, where one cash can lead to another, one deep run lead to a bigger deep run. Kind of what we're seeing at a Carlene now, where he made that final table, and now close to finding himself at an even bigger final table a week later, where things like that happen more than you think in
Yeah,
poker.
we see that so often. I really think there's something to it, and I talk about it all the time, the momentum. You see someone have a big score, and then they just hit something else, just like Carlene. And, you know, Frank's been on a super heater the past year. And, yeah, these guys just, when it snowballs, it's crazy.
Start trusting your plays, you start having more confidence at the table.
Yeah.
Maybe bankroll isn't as much of a concern after a big score.
And a really sharp 3-bet here out of the big blind, finding that the King 7-0 against Andrew's probably going to be a little looser with his opens, and gets one through there. That's not an easy play to make with 10-11 left, and finding a hand that interacts well and would be on the weaker side to defend.
Yeah, I like that.
After the double, immediately putting his chips into play. He's got a new stack. He's got new tools in the set.
Yeah.
3-bet from the big blind, one of them.
Yeah, how often we see players who, you know, bink a tournament and then they're just like, bink another one right after.
They're
so
everywhere.
often. Yeah, it's wild.
What's that like?
Yeah, it's crazy.
It's that blend of playing well, running well, confidence, everything working together. It's a really fun ride. And things are going well.
Must be shaving my beard too often.
Last year I had some like just run after run for like the best year of my career last year, and it just kind of happened. So I won a ring, and then after that I won another, and then had my deepest WSOP run, and it just kind of snowballed.
Yeah, it's beautiful.
Your confidence is high, like you said. You're just playing well. You feel good, and yeah, it's a fun feeling.
One for the good guys.
Starting to forget how that feels.
Got to hold on to those runs.
Got to hold on to them.
Get you through the dark days.
Donovan there sneaking through an open with 4-5-0 on the button. That's noteworthy to me to see that opening into the chip leader with 4-5-0. It's, I think a lot can be gleaned even from just opening hands and spots and positions. And interesting that he's willing to go to war with 5-4-0 there.
Playing short-handed, wider ranges, fun to see. These guys are already aggressive, including a couple of them in specifically. So, fighting for pots. Blinds coming around quickly. Frank Finaro looks down at pocket fours, the sailboats from early position, and will open it up. Dell with a weak ace in the big blind. Off the short stack, 20 bigs in play.
See a defend here?
Queen 5 flop, nothing, no improvement for Adele. Frank, always nice with a pocket pair to see a paired board. Much more likely we still have the best hand.
Yep, and Adele wisely getting away from that ace-2, where one of those spots where although it looks appealing to take one off with ace-high and you might have the best hand, it is tough to win those hands, and frequently you're dominated, and can make your life a lot easier by just getting away there.
Really hard to improve, out of position, don't have the betting lead, and have a short stack. A lot working against him there.
Yeah, and when you do have the best hand, you frequently get bluffed in that spot. So you always have to think ahead as we get a look at the other table there.
Looks like 5 remain out there as well, so 10 total left in the field.
Gonna have to pronounce that guy's name in the 2-seat. That is Demos, is that his name? I believe
Kyriopoulos?
Kyriopoulos. That's a tough one.
Demosthenes Kyriopoulos?
Demos from Greece, I believe. And I think I saw Ryan Dodd over there. Another New Jersey online regular.
Yep.
Our instant live updates on the PokerWork feed do mention that we did lose Samuel Taylor. That's why we didn't see him there in 11th place. Knocked out from that side table. He took home $27,369. 10th place will take home the same, but that means that from here on out, every elimination is a pay jump.
And I would guess we'll be combining to 9 after we lose another player here, so this will be our last little stretch of 5-handed play here.
Final table bubble, but also the dinner break bubble. We got about 2-3 minutes left of play before we reach that dinner break. We'll see if we get cut down to one table before then, but most likely not, the commentator said right before he jinxed somebody. King, Queen, 9 top pair for Donovan.
See Adele with the conservative call there from the small blind facing hijack open with about 20 blinds, and always having to weigh the options when you get shallow. Is it better to set mine? Is it better to reshove pre-flop? And as you get shallower, a lot of those small pairs become shoves versus later position opens. So
yeah, you hate to just call and just leak those 2 big blinds that are so important to your stack. This just becomes really tricky.
And your implied odds obviously worse because you're only playing 18 blinds, so there's less you can win when you do hit your set, and this King 8 is going to check down and win.
We were talking about how we sometimes see the more passive route chosen because of the fantastic structure, though, because you're going to have more spots. However, I agree, leaking 2 bigs every time is not a way to build a stack.
For me, it's more about who we're playing against than the structure, where if it's guys who are going to give the chips away in a lot of other spots, then I would probably take that route. But when you're playing against tough players, tough competition, then you kind of have to take your spots.
We do see players stepping away. That's because we've reached our dinner break. Flash of the payouts and the chip counts will come up here, but we're going to take a break along with the players. That is going to be 60 minutes. 90-minute dinner break. But fear not, we will be back with all the action as we play down to a final table this evening. So enjoy an hour and a half of break from this fantastic poker. I'm Terrence Reed here along with Ashley Frank and Darren Elias in the booth. Thank you both for being here. Any final words before we head to dinner?
No, thanks for joining us. We're gonna grab a little bite to eat and hope to come back with you after break.
See you right back here as we play our way to a final table.